Chapter 117. In the Ling family villa in Fujin Park. A silver-gray sports car was parked in the courtyard. It was obvious that it had just stopped not long ago. It left fresh car tracks in the courtyard after the rain. Inside the house, a pair of well-defined hands opened the drawer at the entrance and put a bunch of keys into the pocket of his coat. Then he walked up to the second floor. After that, the door of a secondary bedroom on the second floor facing the sun opened. The tall figure stopped at the door for a while before pulling the door and locking it. With a click, it was as if a long memory had been turned off. After walking around, his hands were covered in dust. He washed his face in the bathroom on the second floor and looked at himself in the mirror. He turned around and looked at the toilet behind him. He suddenly recalled the first time he spent the night in this house, after Yi Huanyan entered this house. Although the house was big, there was no bathroom in his and Yi Huanyan's rooms. There was a bathroom in the middle of the two bedrooms in the corner. It was the closest bathroom between the two rooms. It was raining that day. After discussing company matters with Ling Dongming, Jiang Milan asked him to stay here. At that time, Yi Huanyan had to go to cram school because of the final exam and came back late. After going upstairs to unpack her school bag, she opened the bathroom door and their eyes met. Ling Han sat on the toilet with a stiff expression. Ordinary girls would either run away or cover their faces and scream. Only Yi Huanyan was not an ordinary person. She actually entered the bathroom openly and took the facial cleanser on the shelf. Her tone was very stiff. I'll take something. You continue. The moment the door closed, Ling Han could not help but laugh. In order to hide the awkwardness in her heart, she could actually brace herself and pretend to be calm to such an extent. Just as Ling Dongming usually mentioned, she was a talent and would definitely have a bright future. Now that he was sitting on the toilet lid and looking up at the bathroom door, it was as if the scene from back then had appeared again. In order not to worsen the situation, the girl who clearly had an awkward expression put on a smile that was even uglier than crying. Then, she walked past him and pretended to be calm as she took the facial cleanser from the shelf. At that time, he was only a young man in his early 20s. Other than feeling awkward, he actually found it interesting. He wanted to keep Yi Huanyan by his side. Even if she had to use this method, even if she was covered in bruises, even if she regretted it in the future, she would just leave it as it was. The pain in his heart was no less than hers. Every time he admitted that he loved her, his biological mother's face would appear in his nightmares at night, full of resentment and pain. A week later, the group trip to Bali ended, and everyone in the company returned. After that, it was time to prepare for the company's annual meeting. Every department was busy with the year-end summary, so the preparation for the annual meeting fell on the multi-talented Secretary Yi. Using the excuse of preparing for the annual meeting, she devoted herself to work. Probably for the sake of the company, Ling Han did not find trouble with her again. Every day, they did things according to the rules, went to work according to the rules, and slept according to the rules. It could be said that they respected each other. On the second day after the trip to Bali, Sheng Inran appeared in the pleasure group in a dignified and elegant dress, which made many people stunned. The movie Queen Sheng, who had always been known for her beauty, was still stunning when she dressed up as a lady. Because Ling Han was in a meeting, Yi Huanyan sincerely suggested that Sheng Inran should not come to the company before the end of the year. Maybe it was because she wanted to show her strength. The lounge of the president's office became the scene of Sheng Inran's compliment. Yi Huanyan angrily put down the pastries and tea, and sternly warned the group of flattering colleagues at the scene. You don't want to do it, do you? If President Ling comes out after the meeting and sees you so lazy, I won't plead for you. A group of people looked embarrassed. When they were about to leave, they heard Sheng Inran speak calmly. It's okay. I'll tell Han then. No matter how busy the company is, we have to strike a balance between work and rest, don't we? Yi Huanyan frowned. Miss Sheng, this is the company, not your personal studio. If you disturb the order here, I'm afraid President Ling is not so easy to talk to. Really? Sheng Imran's eyes were full of contempt, but there was a trace of regret in her tone. I also want to talk to you about the decoration of the house. I really don't know how to decorate an old house to make it comfortable to live in. Decoration. Xiao Dong of the assistant group was the first to smell a trace of unusual smell. Miss Sheng, did you buy a house? No, it's just that President Ling gave me the house where his parents used to live. I thought that no one had lived in it for so long, so I wanted to renovate it. This sweet voice sounded quite proud, as if she had the confidence to have the title of Mrs. Ling in her pocket. When everyone heard that the old president had rented a house, they were all shocked. It was too late to flatter and envy. How could they care about Yi Huanyan's warning? Live in the old president's house. Isn't that a place where only the Ling family can live? Miss Sheng. Oh no, I'm afraid I'll call you Mrs. Ling in the future. Yi Huanyan's face suddenly turned pale, and his fingers holding the tray couldn't help trembling. This scene fell into the eyes of Sheng Enren. She raised her red lips and smiled quite proudly. With a smile at the corner of her mouth, she picked up the tea, took a sip, and exhaled comfortably. It's not a thing yet. I need you to give me some suggestions about the renovation. Yi Huanyan held the tray tightly and escaped from the lounge. He gritted his teeth and looked in the direction of the opposite conference room. The conference room of the president's office was not big. It was basically open only when the company's top management met. Ling Han called the company's top management to discuss the annual plan of the next year. The meeting had been going on for 3 hours, and they didn't know anything that happened outside. At the meeting, the plan put forward by the artist brokerage department included poaching some well-known artists to the company. Although the cost of signing a contract was too high, it was much less risky than such uncertain training of newcomers. President Ling, I personally think that the proposal put forward by Manager Wang is reasonable. This year, we have invested in newcomers seriously exceeding the budget. In addition to the problems of the subsidiary in Shanghai, the newcomers can hardly rise, and the profit for the company is almost negligible. We don't know when we can recover the cost of such training, so we should make some stable changes. Ling Han furrowed his brows. The management members of the management department who had made the suggestion were all people who had fought alongside Ling Dongming in the past. Not only were their thoughts old-fashioned, they were also very stubborn. Just the matter of signing a new artist or a popular one had already been discussed countless times in meetings, big and small, but they were all rejected by him. This bunch of elders were already somewhat dissatisfied, and the problem of the training of newcomers on the live broadcast platform in Shanghai had become their topic of gossip. Now they were holding on to it. Chapter 118. Old Tang of the second department glanced at Ling Han and quickly understood. He frowned and stood up. If we sign a popular artist, you all know that the so-called popularity has a time limit. No one knows if the time we sign the contract will be his peak. If we sign the artist, but the artist has a problem in our company, who will bear the loss? Coupled with the public opinion of the fans, this is very unfavorable to the company. What's more, the company already has many popular artists, such as Sheng Anren and Guan Nai. The annual profit of these two alone is already very considerable. Manager Wang seemed to have expected that Old Tang would talk about Sheng Anren and Guan Nai. He laughed and said, Sheng Anren and Guan Nai are indeed two popular stars in the limelight now. Indeed, the company's female artists are developing well. But what about the male artists? You know, the foundation of the entertainment market is still female fans. The company's male artists have hardly come up with a single one so far. Is it reasonable? Old Tang glanced at Ling Han and saw the boss frowning. He realized that his attitude was probably still the opposite of Manager Wang's. On one side was the company's veteran, and on the other side was the big boss. No one dared to offend. There was a rustling sound at the office door. Old Tang glanced at the door. Yi Huanyan brought the new intern secretary in and brought in a cup of coffee. As soon as she entered the room, she felt the gloomy atmosphere. She was slightly stunned and quickly understood the meaning of Old Tang's gaze. You all must be tired, managers. Have a cup of coffee to refresh yourself. Secretary Dong ordered a meal to fill your stomach later. After that, She turned around and picked up the coffee on the tray in the hand of the secretary behind her and handed it to the managers one by one. Ling Han's voice sounded in the conference room. Uncle Wang, why don't you tell me what kind of male artist you want to sign? Ling Han's words sounded like a loosening of his mouth, but in fact, he was retreating in order to advance. Old Tang was stunned for a few seconds. Suddenly, he woke up and looked at Ling Han with a look of admiration. All artists have black spots. No matter which one, Manager Wang said was in the limelight now. He had a reason to object. Manager Wang didn't know that his nephew had set a trap for him and said proudly, "Speaking of which, you should all know him. The one who just returned to China a while ago is called Sun Yanhua." Suddenly, there was a clang in the conference room. It was the sound of porcelain cups colliding. It was not loud, but it was a little harsh. Yi Huanyan apologized in a low voice. She took a tissue and wiped the coffee off the table. When she put down the cup, she accidentally touched the plate under it. No one in the conference room cared about this small incident. However, in the eyes of Ling Han, such a small mistake caused his eyes to become increasingly gloomy. At the conference table, Old Tang smiled. Manager Wang, Sun Yanhua, I heard that this person. Sure. Old Tang's face stiffened as he turned to look at Ling Han in disbelief. He repeated himself faintly. Sun Yanhua, right? Sure. Old Tang frowned, and his tone was a little hurried. President Ling, I heard that this Sun Yanhua had already contacted a domestic agency when he was abroad. They gave him many good conditions, and even helped to arrange the concert in the end. However, until now, he has not decided which company to sign with. This kind of artist who is too opinionated for the company, is it not suitable? Besides, signing him should be a very difficult thing to do. Ling Han's gaze was not on him. It faintly fell on Yi Huanyan, who was dressed as an office lady in the corner. She lowered her head, but a trace of worry could be seen in her eyes just now. She was so worried about Sun Yanhua's situation? Ling Han sneered in his heart. At all costs, before the end of the year, the person who signs with Sun Yanhua can get a first-class reward from the company at the end of the year. As soon as these words were said, there was a lot of discussion in the room. As everyone knew, the pleasure group had a reward and punishment system. The punishment system was very strict, and they could easily pack up and leave. However, in contrast, under such a punishment system, there was also a heavy reward system. The reward system was divided into 10 levels. The employees who did not make any mistakes in the company could receive the 10th level reward at the end of the year. It was not considered a great reward. Last year, the gold medal manager of the second department negotiated with Guan Nai, who was planning to leave the company, to renew his contract for 10 years. At the end of the year, he got the third prize, a single apartment in the main city area. As for the first-class reward, no one in the company had the luck to see what it was. However, it would not be less than the value of a single apartment. The meeting ended. Yi Huanyan stayed behind to tidy up the remaining documents with the intern secretary. Although she did not need to do the cleaning, the company had a cleaning ante. However, the contents of the meeting were confidential documents. They needed to be collected and archived, or destroyed with a shredder. Secretary Yi, what do you think of the resolution of this meeting? A cold voice sounded in the meeting room. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. She looked up and saw Ling Han was still there. She passed the collected documents to Xiao Dong. Take these to the shredder first. I will take care of the rest. You don't need to come over. Yes, Sister Yi. Only Yi Huanyan and Ling Han were left in the meeting room. She frowned and continued to tidy up the remaining documents on the table. President Ling, I am not qualified to ask about the meeting. I think you have already made up your mind. When she passed the documents to Ling Han's arm pressed down on the documents. She looked up and met his cold and disdainful eyes. Her thin lips moved slightly, and her tone was cold. Now you are acting like you don't care in front of me. Your acting skills are not bad. Do you want to consider changing to another department and go to the brokerage department to find an agent for you? Yi Huanyan's face changed slightly. President Ling, I don't know what you mean. Stop pretending. You should be happy that Sun Yanhua is here for pleasure, right? Dong Xuebing had seen her reaction earlier. Ling Han let go of his arm and passed the documents to Yi Huanyan. He had a sarcastic smile on his face. President Ling, this is the decision of the meeting. It has nothing to do with me. If President Ling wants to say that you made this decision because of me, I don't think I can take the pressure from you. Yi Huanyan did not change her expression and took the documents from Dong Xuebing. I still need to work. Also, Miss Sheng had been waiting for you in the lounge for a long time. I think you should go and have a look. If you don't go now, I am afraid tomorrow's headlines will reveal that Uncle Ling's house is going to be your wedding home. At the mention of the house, Ling Han looked a little embarrassed. He glanced at Yi Huanyan and walked out of the door with his suit jacket. Yi Huanyan looked at his disappearing back and recalled what she had just said. She could not help but purse her lips, and her heart was filled with mixed feelings. Since when did she start to do this kind of thing in front of Ling Han, where she would be jealous of another woman and cause trouble for him? Chapter 119. In the conference room, Yi Huanyan watched Ling Han's figure disappear at the door, and the knot in her eyebrows gradually smoothed out. When she was cleaning up the remaining documents on the table, she was a little powerless, and her heart was always blocked. Why did Ling Han sign Sun Yanhua? The meaning of his words just now was that he just wanted to see her reaction by signing the contract. But even if he signed Sun Yanhua, the artist brokerage department had never had any contact with her, and there would be no intersection at all. It was ridiculous to say that he wanted to see her reaction. In the lounge of the president's office, Sheng Anren was having a good time with the female staff in the office as Mrs. Ling. Although she didn't know how much of those compliments were true or false, they were good to hear in her ears. President Ling. President Ling is good. Ling Han's figure appeared at the door of the lounge, and the people around Sheng Anren dispersed. They were all afraid of being used to set an example, so they ran faster than mice. Han. Sheng Anren's eyes lit up. She got up and took Ling Han's arm. Why did the meeting take so long? Ling Han frowned and said in a deep voice, I'm very busy today. Aren't you busy with the house decoration? Oh, I just want to ask you something. What's the matter? Ling Han was a little absent-minded. He looked up and saw a familiar figure flashing in the mirror of the lounge. When he turned around, Yi Huanyan had already walked in the direction of the secretary's office in the depths of the corridor. Han. He came back to his senses. What did you just say? Sheng Anren's eyes fell on the door, and her eyes were slightly stagnant. I was just asking you why there was a room on the second floor of the house with the door locked. The contractor of the decoration also said that you told him not to touch that room. Today was the first day she went to check on the decoration, but she found that there was a room on the second floor with the door closed, and none of the keys Ling Han gave her could be opened. After asking the contractor, she found out that Ling Han had specifically told her not to touch the house. This made her a little puzzled, but she also found a suitable reason to see Ling Han. At the mention of that room, Ling Han had a strange expression on his face. Cold. Let's talk in the office. After saying this, he pulled his arm out of Sheng Anren's hand, put his hands in the pockets of his suit pants, and walked towards the president's office. Following Ling Han, Sheng Anren inexplicably felt that he was in a bad mood today. He just finished the meeting. Was it because of the meeting? When he passed by the secretary's office, Ling Han suddenly stopped and said coldly, Even shredding paper takes so long. No wonder you can't finish your work. Yi Huanyan, who was busy shredding documents with her back to the door, stiffened. She practically bounced around and saw Ling Han. Her expression darkened slightly. President Ling. Miss Sheng. In front of Ling Han, Sheng Anren smiled elegantly and nodded to Yi Huanyan. Ling Han was not polite. Did the planning department come out with the plan for the annual meeting? They sent it here early in the morning. I read it. Because there was a problem with the budget, I asked them to take it back and revise it. Early in the morning. Ling Han snorted. I need to see the general plan before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Secretary Yi, please work hard. Don't look so weak, because Secretary Ji left. Yes, President Ling. Put other things aside first. Send 2 cups of tea in 5 minutes. You should remember Amren's taste. Yi Huanyan's face stiffened slightly, and she lowered her head. Seeing Ling Han's attitude, the smile on Sheng Anren's face deepened. She had guessed correctly. Towards this secretary Yi, Ling Han was only playing around. Who would take a girl who could not be found in a crowd seriously? This woman didn't listen to her advice. Now that Ling Han was annoyed, she was afraid that her job would be difficult to keep. In the president's office, Ling Han took off his suit jacket and put it on the chair. Sheng Anren followed him. Her slender fingers held his temples and gently massaged them. Her technique was very skilled. Ling Han was a little unwilling at first, but under her gentle massage, he felt a little comfortable. He temporarily forgot about the troubles in the meeting and slowly closed his eyes. What's in the room on the second floor of the villa? I think the direction is very good. Why is it locked? Ling Han leaned on the sofa chair with his eyes closed. His voice was cold, and no emotion could be heard. It's just a utility room. Don't worry about it. There are so many rooms. Which one do you like? You can choose it yourself. Really? Sheng Anren looked happy. Is the big master bedroom on the second floor okay? Yes. I thought it should be your parents' bedroom before. Should I keep it for you? When it came to his parents, Ling Han opened his eyes and stared at the table for a while. Then he closed his eyes again and said lightly, apart from the locked room, you can live anywhere else you want. I want to use the European-style decoration, because the house is larger and has 3 floors. In this way, the European-style decoration is more magnificent. Sheng Anren's nagging voice seemed to have a hypnotic effect. With her massage, Ling Han became more and more tired. Just when his eyelids felt heavy, there was a knock on the door of the office. President Ling, I'll come in and deliver tea. As soon as the voice fell, Ling Han sat up straight and got rid of her palm. Leave it. Sheng Anren looked at Yi Huanyan unpleasantly. It was not easy for her to have such a harmonious opportunity to talk with Ling Han. This woman broke in rashly. It was really annoying. Yi Huanyan put down the tea and turned to leave. She didn't want to stay here any longer. There was a sweet voice with a bit of sarcasm behind her. Wait a minute. At some point, Sheng Anren had picked up the teacup and took a sip. Then she put down the cup and frowned. Secretary Yi, I never drink tea. And this tea is not fresh, right? It smells moldy. Miss Sheng, the tea in the office is President Ling's favorite mountain tea. Every once in a while, new tea will be sent to replace it. There has never been old tea here. When it came to Ling Han, the smile on Sheng Anren's face froze slightly. She glanced at Ling Han from the corner of her eyes. He picked up the cup and drank slowly. There was nothing strange about it. Han, you know I don't like tea very much. Is there any coffee? There are all kinds of coffee in the office. The coffee beans have just been used up, and the logistics department hasn't kept up with the replenishment. Miss Sheng might as well try President Ling's favorite tea. She kept saying what President Ling liked, which almost made Sheng Anren speechless. She was so angry that her face turned red, and her eyes were burning with anger. Yi Huanyan's eyes flashed with a trace of satisfaction. Holding the tray of tea, she smiled and said, if there's nothing else, I'll go out first. Call me if you need anything. Wait a minute. Ling Han's cold voice sounded behind Yi Huanyan. She paused slightly when she was holding the metal door handle. She sighed in her heart and slowly turned around. What else can I do for President Ling? Chapter 120. Inran is not used to tea. Make her a cup of coffee according to her taste. President Ling, the logistics haven't replenished the coffee beans. Yi Huanyan frowned and reminded him. Then go out and buy it. After Ling Han dropped this sentence, he seemed to be a little impatient. I have to say such a small thing. How can you be a secretary? Han, don't be angry. Sheng Anren comforted Ling Han, but there was a smile at the corner of his mouth. His narrow phoenix eyes swept over Yi Huanyan. Then give me a caramel macchiato. I want the Starbucks on Zhongshan Road. Zhongshan Road? Yi Huanyan frowned and looked at Sheng Anren. There's one in the coffee bar downstairs. Why do you want Zhongshan Road? Because I like the one on Zhongshan Road. The taste is unique. Are you looking for trouble? Yi Huanyan's face darkened. Han, this secretary of yours has a really big temper. You know that people are still quite particular about food and clothing. Sheng Amren pouted coquettishly, her pair of eyes very charming on Ling Han's body. Zhongshan Road is not far. After hearing this, Yi Huanyan turned around and left without saying anything. Hey, where are you going? Sheng Amren asked. Go to Zhongshan Road. The four indignant words floated from the door, and the echo lingered around the office for a long time. Ling Han lowered his head slightly, and the corner of his mouth raised a doting arc that even he didn't notice. Sheng Amren sat on the sofa and showed a dissatisfied look. Han, you see, your secretary's attitude is really bad. If she treated the company's customers like this, the customers would have run away long ago. Secretary Yi has a bad temper. Then why do you keep her? Sheng Amren looked at Ling Han's face, trying to find something from his face. Ling Han opened the document with a flat face. But she has excellent workability. She can be 10 good-tempered assistants by herself. Sheng Amren bit his lip. Even so, don't you find it annoying to keep someone you don't even like by your side? Why don't you ask Assistant Xiao to find you someone with outstanding abilities and a good temper? I think she's pleasing to the eye. You've been very close to Qiao Mu recently. Sheng Amren suddenly felt a chill on his body and looked up at Ling Han's scrutinizing eyes. No, I just thought that you always leave everything to Assistant Xiao. It should be the same for things like finding a secretary, right? Besides, I haven't seen Assistant Xiao in a while. Her acting skills were not bad. Ling Han scanned her face, but did not find anything amiss, so he calmly said, Xiao Mu was busy managing the branch company in Shanghai. I see. Sheng Amren lowered his head and slowly exhaled. As for my secretary, I don't need anyone to find her pleasing to the eye. I only need her to perform well and bring profits to the company. That's enough. There was no lack of warning in these words. Sheng Amren clenched his fingers and nodded embarrassedly. At this time, Yi Huanyan walked out of the pleasure group. Wrapped in a coat, she walked quickly in the cold wind. The skin on her ankles exposed by her high heels was cut by the cold wind. She frowned and glanced at the Starbucks downstairs before walking in without hesitation. What unique taste? Screw your unique taste. I don't believe you can taste where I bought it from. Hello, what do you want? A latte. Drink it here. And a caramel macchiato. Oh right, make the caramel macchiato for me in 10 minutes. I'll take it away. It was not lunchtime yet, so the lobby was a bit deserted. Most of the employees in the nearby office buildings came to talk about business, or had something to do at the last minute. Yi Huanyan looked around, chose the most remote corner, and sat down with her latte. 10 minutes later, she finished her latte and felt refreshed. She took the packed caramel macchiato from the cashier, and nodded to thank the smiling waiter. Then she took a deep breath, and rushed out of the Starbucks in the cold wind. Miss Sheng, your caramel macchiato. In the office, she raised her eyelids and glanced at Sheng Amren, emphasizing, the one on Zhongshan Road. This kind of sullen attitude made Sheng Amren feel very comfortable. She opened the lid and took a sip, smiling. Thank you, Secretary Yi. I've always been used to drinking this, so I really can't drink other people's. Yi Huanyan raised her eyebrows. It's good that you like it. After saying this, she went out of the office. At the moment when she closed the office door, she couldn't hold back her laughter. She laughed out loud, scaring the intern Xiao Dong, who was collecting the materials and preparing to enter the secretary's office. Sister Yi, are you all right? I'm all right. Go in. Seeing that it was lunchtime, Sheng Amren came out of the secretary's office, holding the so-called Zhongshan Road Starbucks coffee bought by Yi Huanyan. She showed off to Yi Huanyan. Secretary Yi, thank you for the coffee. I'm leaving now. Next time I come here, I will bring you delicious food. Yi Huanyan twitched her mouth and looked at the funny cup of coffee. The more she looked at it, the more she wanted to laugh. Xiao Dong, who was sitting on the swivel chair in the office, turned to Yi Huanyan's desk and was a little curious. Sister Yi, why is Sheng Amren so happy today? She looked so reluctant when she left earlier. Yi Huanyan covered her mouth and suddenly laughed so hard that she couldn't stand up straight. Sister Yi, are you all right? Xiao Dong was shocked. I'm fine. I'm fine. Yi Huanyan waved her hand and forced herself to sit up straight. Where's the document for Manager Ling? Give it to me. Xiaodong nodded dubiously and handed the chronological annual report to Yi Huanyan. Sister Yi, do you want me to go? It's fine. I can go. Yi Huanyan patted her cheeks to make her stiff face look more lively. Then she went to knock on the door of Ling Han's office with the documents in her arms. Come in. Manager Ling, this is this year's financial report and the profit chart. The finance department had made detailed notes. You only need to take a look at it, and you will have a rough idea of the results at the annual meeting. Okay. Then if there's nothing else, I will go out first. Yi Huanyan put down the document and carefully looked at Ling Han's face. Just as she was about to turn around, she suddenly heard Dong Xuebing's voice. The weather is sub-zero, and the coffee you bought from Zhongshan Road is still hot. Secretary Yi, you are getting better at your job. Yi Huanyan's face froze, and she straightened her neck. It's because Manager Ling taught me well. Really? Look up. Dong Xuebing looked up from his desk, and his eyes were cold. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. She had nowhere to hide her gaze from the floor-to-ceiling window, behind Ling Han, to the entrance of the Starbucks downstairs. Everything was in plain sight. She swallowed her saliva and muttered, Didn't Sheng Anren also not taste the difference? Unrepentant. Dong Xuebing said coldly. His face was still calm and emotionless, like a cold statue. Chapter 121. Yi Huanyan was rendered speechless by his words. The main reason was that she did not want to have a conflict with him on the surface. She had suffered too many losses, and she knew how to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages. Ling Han frowned slightly and asked as if he had nothing to say. You also fool your clients like this? Yi Huanyan looked up in shock. I didn't. Clients were not as easy to fool as Sheng Enren. Ling Han's eyes flashed a trace of regret, and his frown deepened. Seeing that he did not speak, Yi Huanyan was a little nervous and began to let her imagination run wild. When she thought about it, she remembered that it was lunchtime, and she was hungry. When she thought of being hungry, her face changed. The next second, a clear sound rang in the silent office. Goo! Ling Han looked up in surprise, and they looked at each other. The atmosphere suddenly became a little strange. Manager Ling, it's lunchtime. Yi Huanyan reminded him embarrassedly and touched her stomach. I had an appointment with the people in the office to take turns buying food. It's my turn today. What she meant was, if you don't let me go, everyone in the office will have to work for you with hungry stomachs. This way, it will be inefficient. If there is nothing else, I will go and buy food first. She smiled embarrassedly and was ready to slip away. A voice came from behind her. Buy me a portion. For a moment she thought she had misheard. Stiffly she turned around and asked, Huh? Until she met with Ling Han's cold eyes. She regained her senses and nodded. Then she walked away in a pair of 12 centimeters high heels. Xiaodong, let's go and buy food. A voice came from the assistant group's cubicle. Secretary Yi, Xiaodong has already gone to line up. You go quickly. We are all starving. Right away, right away. I'm sorry, everyone. Boss Ling wants to ask me something. The reason for the assistant group of the president's office and the secretary's office to take turns buying food was that after the Bali holiday, the auntie who cooked in the cafeteria went home on leave and replaced the uncle who cooked. The uncle was probably a northerner and was very heavy-handed. Everyone who ate his food suffered unspeakably. In the afternoon, when their mouths were dry, they had to gulp down water. After gulping down water, they had to go to the toilet. There was a time when the toilet was full. In a high-efficiency environment like Pleasure, the most important assistant group couldn't tolerate such things that delayed their work. Therefore, after returning from their vacation in Bali, the assistant group decided to take turns going to a new Chinese restaurant nearby to buy food after 2 days of eating. Today, it was Yi Huanyan and Xiaodong's turn. When Yi Huanyan arrived, it was already Xiaodong's turn. It's 12 servings, right? The loud voice of the Chinese restaurant's owner came from the window. Xiaodong was about to say something, but was interrupted by Yi Huanyan. Lady boss, we will add one more serving today. 13 servings. Okay. Xiaodong was surprised and turned around. Sister Yi, who else wants to eat? Director Ling. Yi Huanyan twitched her lips and gave a look of "do you believe it? I don't even dare to believe it" expression. Oh lady boss, one of the servings of vegetables, other than oil and salt. Don't put anything else. Don't put scallions, ginger, garlic, and any other chopped ingredients. The lady boss's expression was still good at the start. She remembered what Yi Huanyan said, and repeated it to the chef behind her. But when she heard what Yi Huanyan said, her face got darker. Miss Yi, you ordered chopped green onions and scrambled eggs today. Can you tell me why you didn't add scallions? Yi Huanyan paused for a second and asked, why don't you use a whole stalk of chopped green onions to scramble eggs? Xiaodong saw the lady boss's angry face, and pulled Yi Huanyan from behind. He whispered, Sister Yi, are you kidding me? The lady boss is going to hit someone. Yi Huanyan suddenly found that there was something wrong with the landlady's expression. Blue veins stood out on the back of her hand that was holding the disposable chopsticks. Her eyes widened, and she quickly waved her hand and smiled embarrassedly. Ha ha ha. I am just saying. You can do whatever you want. While Xiaodong was surprised by the lady boss's pickiness, the Chinese restaurant's lady boss packed 13 servings of fast food. She divided the food into 4 bags, so that 2 people can carry 1 bag each. She ran to the office with the lunchboxes in her hands. The assistant team consciously carried the lunchboxes they had received to the balcony to eat. Although the company's rule against eating in the office had been broken when the afternoon snacks were distributed, this was the president's office after all. No one dared to use something as smelly as fast food to pluck the tiger's beard in his face. Yi Huanyan looked at the 2 servings of fast food in her hands and walked to the president's office. Director Ling, here is your lunch. Yi Huanyan knocked on the door and waved the bag of fast food in her hand. Yes, I put it here. You can eat it yourself. I will. Stop right there. Ling Han stood up and walked to the coffee table. He looked at Dong Xuebbing impatiently. Sit down and eat. Do you think the company gave you too much time to eat? Seeing that Ling Han had already opened the lunchbox, Yi Huanyan's expression froze, and she stepped forward. You don't need to. What is this? Yi Huanyan sighed in her heart, and turned to look at the 3 dishes in front of Ling Han. Fried eggs with chopped green onions, minced meat and eggplant, and braised pork ribs. I don't eat green onions, ginger and garlic. Ling Han replied, I know, but the Chinese restaurants around here are like this. Director Ling, you are the one who insisted. Yi Huanyan looked into Ling Han's eyes. She swallowed her saliva. How about this? Can I help you pick them out? 5 minutes later, Yi Huanyan held her sore wrist and decided not to eat fried eggs with chopped green onions for the rest of her life. Picking out all the chopped green onions from the fried eggs with chopped green onions was the most tiring job in the world. The second tiring job was to pick out the minced meat and the minced garlic from the eggplant. Dong Xuebbing was mentally and physically exhausted. When she finished picking out the ingredients and ate the entire lunchbox in front of Ling Han, she would find Ling Han looking at her with a faint smile. That kind of gentle look was rare. Director Ling, I'm done eating. Can I leave first? Yi Huanyan almost didn't look at Ling Han. She packed up her lunchbox and stood beside the coffee table with her head down. Yes. Then leave it here after you finish eating. I will come and clean it up. Yes. Ling Han didn't seem to care about what she said at all. He picked up the glass of water beside him and slowly drank a mouthful of water. When she left, she noticed from the corner of her eye that Ling Han hadn't touched the dishes she picked out in his lunchbox. It was probably not to his taste. Why would a picky person like him eat fast food? It was probably a whim. After she left, Ling Han picked up the chopped fried eggs with chopped green onions and put it into his mouth. After chewing slowly, he picked up a large piece of rice. It tasted good. From the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of the restaurant logo on the bag. It was Heji Chinese restaurant. When he went to the bathroom just now, he seemed to have heard a few people in the assistant group discussing that the cafeteria seemed to be lacking a chef recently. Chapter 122. Fujin Park Villa District. The renovation team had been going in and out of the Yuan Ling family's three-story mansion for the past few days. In order to keep an eye on the renovation, Sheng Amren put off several jobs at hand and wholeheartedly stayed at home to keep an eye on them. The people in the renovation team were all found by Qiao Mu. Although the people Qiao Mu found were always reliable, Sheng Amren was still worried. After all, this was the house where Ling Han used to live. If anything happened, she could not bear the responsibility. Hey, where's the statue at the door? She stood at the door wearing a mask and waved the dust in front of her as she questioned the worker, who was busy moving the living room furniture out. The worker frowned. What statue? I don't know. Hey, how can you not know? I put it at the entrance when I came. It's that artistic human statue. You don't know. We can't be the ones who took away such a big statue, right? Hey, you're talking, Miss Sheng. A clear male voice interrupted the two's argument from afar. Qiao Mu walked up in a suit and glanced at Sheng Amren with a smile. What's wrong? The statue at the door is gone. They've been going in and out of here for the past 2 days. When I asked them, they said they didn't know. Sheng Amren snorted. I think these people's hands and feet are not very clean. Qiao Mu frowned and waved her hand to dismiss the indignant worker. Then she looked at Sheng Amren and sighed. Young master told me to put away the statue yesterday at noon. He said that you were going to renovate the new house. According to the renovation style, the furnishings and decorations were all bought and put away in the warehouse, along with the old furniture. Is that so? Sheng Amren was taken aback. He didn't tell me. Qiao Mu smiled with concern in her eyes. Miss Sheng, I think you'd better not stay here. Why don't you go to the second floor? There's a lot of dust here. It's not a big deal to dirty your clothes, but it won't be good if the workers stumble around and trip you. It's fine. I have to watch them finish the renovation personally. Otherwise, I'm afraid they'll cut corners. Sheng Amren waved her hand with a nonchalant expression. Qiao Mu looked at her with a strange gaze and was absent-minded for a few seconds. Hey, make way, make way. A few workers carried the paint used to paint the walls as they walked past. Although they used good paint, they couldn't avoid the pungent smell. Sheng Amren was facing several workers with his back, but he couldn't move the 12-centimeter high-heeled shoes under his feet. As soon as he turned around, he staggered and fell toward the bucket of paint on the wall. Qiao Mu was quick to react and reached out to grab her wrist. She pulled with all her might and barely pulled her over the paint bucket. Her high heels snapped at the base with a crack. Are you okay? Qiao Mu looked down at the woman in her arms with concern. She practically instinctively broke free, but she stumbled again and fell back into Qiao Mu's arms. Damn it! She lowered her head and looked at the broken heel of her shoe. Qiao Mu creased her brows and looked around. Right now, the workers were all busy in the backyard, so no one was paying attention to her. She simply steeled her heart and directly carried her up to the second floor. Ah, what are you doing? Sheng Amren screamed and abruptly covered her mouth, afraid that she would attract the workers' attention. When they reached the second floor, she struggled out of Qiao Mu's arms and landed on the large bed in the master bedroom. She angrily rebuked in a low voice, Assistant Qiao, what are you doing? Pay attention to your status. Sit here for a while. I'll go find you a pair of shoes. There are too many people downstairs. Qiao Mu's expression was indifferent, seemingly without any fluctuations in emotion. Sheng Amren was momentarily at a loss for words. Looking at his tall and straight back, her throat seemed to be blocked by something. After a while, she awkwardly moved her lips and spoke in an extremely quiet voice. Thank you. After closing the door, Qiao Mu's stiff back gradually relaxed. The residual warmth in his chest made his heart beat nonstop. He slowly exhaled with furrowed brows, his expression a bit gloomy. 5 minutes later, the door opened. Qiao Mu held a pair of cotton slippers in one hand and a cup of water in the other. After putting down the cup, he placed the slippers on the floor. I found it in the entrance. The label was just cut, so it's new. Sheng Amren nodded. After changing into the slippers, she picked up the cup by the bed and drank a mouthful of water. Thank you. You're welcome. Director Ling instructed me to take care of your matters, so this is what I should do. Xiao Mu's voice was light and indifferent, without any discernible emotion. Xing Imran sighed and said, "What exactly is Ling Han capable of? His assistants and secretaries are all weirdos." Xiao Mu did not know whether this was a compliment or a disparagement, but he did not comment and clenched his fingers. "Then Miss Sheng, you can rest here. I'll go downstairs to check on the renovation." Xing Imran wanted to dig a swimming pool in the backyard for parties. All kinds of water pipes buried under the original empty space had to be replanned. This project was truly a bit huge, and this house could not be inhabited for at least 2 months. "Hey, wait a minute." Xing Imran paced 2 steps and called out to Xiao Mu. Seeing him turn around, Xing Imran pursed her lips and pointed at a room at the other end of the corridor next to the washroom. "Assistant Xiao, do you know what that room is used for?" The room she was pointing at was the utility room that Ling Han mentioned, the room that he told her to ignore. However, her woman's intuition told her that there must be something strange about that room. Xiao Mu followed her gaze, and when she saw the tightly shut door, she creased her brows. "Director Ling didn't tell you? Tell me what?" Xing Imran observed his expression, trying to catch something. Xiao Mu stared at the door for a few seconds. "Nothing, it's just a utility room for storing things. Since Director Ling locked it, it means that it's better not to touch it easily. Curiosity is not a good thing." "Hey, what are you saying? Miss Sheng, that's all I have to say. Please rest well." After saying this, Xiao Mu went downstairs without looking back. Looking at Xiao Mu's back, Xing Imran frowned and looked at the room. She was more and more confused. Who would put a utility room on the 2nd floor where the sun rose? What exactly was inside? The curtain of night gradually fell. In the pleasure group, except for the technical department, the lights on the other floors were turned off one by one. After working overtime at her desk to organize the documents for the afternoon meeting, Yi Huanyan closed her laptop and stretched. She slowly exhaled and looked at the intern Xiao Dong, who was originally sitting in Ji Xiaoya's seat. "Xiao Dong, I'll do the rest. You can get off work." Xiao Dong was slightly taken aback, and then she revealed a joyful expression. "Thank you, Sister Yi." Yi Huanyan smiled and winked. "Don't make your boyfriend wait." Xiao Dong had been doing odd jobs in the assistant group for more than a year. Her boyfriend would come to pick her up from work every night, rain or shine. This was something that everyone in the president's office knew. She was a bit embarrassed. "Sister Yi, you're teasing me again." "No, I'm really envious of you. Sister Yi is so eligible. Your boyfriend must be very outstanding, right?" This question made Yi Huanyan's smile gradually disappear. Chapter 123. When Yi Huanyan did not reply, Xiao Dong turned around and asked, "Sister Yi, don't tell me you haven't had a boyfriend yet?" Yi Huanyan had a smile on her face. Yes. For some reason, Xiao Dong felt uncomfortable when she saw this smile. She carried her bag and said embarrassedly, "Sister Yi must have high standards. I wonder who is a good match for someone like you." Yi Huanyan was speechless. "Let's go. How long do you want your boyfriend to wait downstairs?" Xiao Dong nodded and walked to the door with her bag. Suddenly, she saw someone standing in the shadows. She trembled and supported herself against the wall to calm herself down. "Ling. Manager Ling. Why are you still here?" Ling Han's expression was inexplicably gloomy. He glanced at her and said coldly, "I have something to do." Then, I will not disturb you." "Okay." After Dong Xuebing got the permission, Xiao Dong ran away as fast as a mouse. Ling Han stood in front of the secretary's office and looked at the woman behind the glass door. Dong Xuebing remembered how that woman admitted she did not have a boyfriend earlier. He pushed the door open and entered the office. Yi Huanyan did not look up. She still needs some time to sort out the meeting notes. When she heard footsteps, she thought it was Xiao Dong. "Did you forget something? Why are you so forgetful?" She lowered her head and asked casually. A shadow swept in front of her, blocking a portion of the light. The smell of alcohol made her frown and raise her head. In an instant, she was under the shadow of a huge figure. Her heart immediately panicked. "Manager Ling, why are you so unhappy to see me?" Ling Han glanced at her from across the desk, his eyes cold and clear. Yi Huanyan reacted quickly. She slowly exhaled and said faintly, "I am just a little surprised. Manager Ling, didn't you get off work 2 hours ago? You should be having dinner tonight. You seem to know a lot." Ling Han snorted. "Then why are you here? Why did he come back?" "I came back to look for something." After saying this, he turned around. Yi Huanyan immediately felt that the smell of alcohol in front of her had mostly dissipated. It seemed that he hadn't drunk much. He took 2 steps forward and sat on the sofa opposite her. He stared straight at Yi Huanyan. She felt uncomfortable being stared at by him and asked, "President Ling, do you need some water?" "Yes." She quickly got some water and placed it on the coffee table in front of him. "President Ling, your tea?" "Ah." Her wrist was suddenly grabbed, and she felt a cold sensation. His hand was very cold. "Secretary Yi, were you and Secretary Dong talking about boyfriends just now? What did you say?" Yi Huanyan was slightly taken aback. "No, nothing. Secretary Dong is asking if you have a boyfriend." "Yes." A trace of sadness flashed through Yi Huanyan's eyes. She tried to break free from Ling Han's grasp, but to no avail. "You said you don't have one." Ling Han grabbed her arm and refused to let her go. His gaze was like a knife, cutting Yi Huanyan's emotions inch by inch. Yi Huanyan furrowed her brows. She raised her head and looked straight at that naked and slightly drunk gaze. "Is it wrong?" President Ling, Ling Han was at a loss for words when she questioned him like this. It was as if a fishbone was stuck in his throat, making his chest feel stuffy. With a sudden tug of his hand, he pulled her into his embrace. The faint smell of alcohol filled his embrace and drowned Yi Huanyan's entire body. She struggled for a moment and said in a low voice, "Let go of me. You don't have a boyfriend, but you have me." His panting voice came from above her head. It was hoarse and somewhat hazy. It was very charming and made people lose themselves. She raised her head and revealed a startled expression, as if she wanted to ask what he meant by that. A strong aroma of wine assailed her nostrils, followed by an ice-cold sensation on her lips. He gently caressed her softness, absorbing her hot kiss and moist moisture. His tongue snaked in, deftly parting her teeth, entangling with the clove in her mouth, stirring up clouds and rain with one turn. The white office lady's shirt wrapped around her plump upper body was peeled off inch by inch under his skillful hands, revealing the skin that was as bright as the moonlight outside the window. A large hand rubbed the black stockings on her calves, and then sneaked into the black wrap dress unsatisfactorily, removing all obstacles. The woman exclaimed and looked at the open glass door in a panic. She shouted in a hoarse voice, "Don't!" And the last trace of reason collapsed under the man's skillful teasing during this period of time. Her eyes were intoxicated, her cheeks glowed with a pink luster, and she let out an intoxicating moan. There was enough foreplay, and there was not much pain when entering. She even had a feeling that she could not wait, which made her feel faintly ashamed. But after a few rounds of sex, she found that what really made her ashamed was not only that. The floor-to-ceiling window of the secretary's office was facing the high-rise buildings in the main city area, bustling with neon lights. He clasped her hands and pressed her against the glass window with the back of her hands, taking her over and over again. He was not stingy with her smooth jade-like body on the high platform of the 20th floor of the office building, letting the night view her. After a round of taking, her lips were red, and her pearly white teeth bit off the lipstick. There was a circle of red around her lips, which had a kind of lazy and messy beauty, which made people obsessed. Her sweet and sexy facial features were reflected in the glass window. The eyes of the man behind her deepened a little. He held her waist and gathered his strength to attack. "Ah!" She breathed out hot air and sprinkled on the glass window, making it dense. White smoke rose in spirals in the secretary's office. She collapsed on the carpet, her clothes in a mess. She looked at Ling Han with a confused look. Tonight, he was so gentle that she was so confused that she was willing to do such a shameful thing in such an unshielded place. At this moment his passion was exhausted. He sat on the sofa and smoked. It seemed that he had returned to his original state. He was cold and not close to the smoke and fire. It seemed that what had just happened at the bedside was just an illusion of his own. Do you know how to answer when someone asks you if you have a boyfriend in the future? He suddenly asked, and his face could not be seen clearly in the smoke and fire. Yi Huanyan was buttoning her shirt with her head down. Suddenly she was asked the first topic. She was slightly stunned and looked up at him. After a while, she asked uncertainly, "Are we boyfriend and girlfriend?" With Sheng Amren between the two of them, she couldn't even be considered a mistress. But his attitude made her look forward to it. "Is it so important?" He sneered and squinted at her. "We've done what we should do and shouldn't do. If you still pretend to be innocent in front of others, and say that you haven't been in love, and haven't slept with a man, it will make me feel hypocritical. It will also make me wonder if you are not satisfied with your current life." She lowered her head again, and clenched the clothes on her chest. "I see." Chapter 124. Lanjiang City, Garden Hotel Apartment. After Su Nianhua finished the last concert, he was exhausted. As soon as he returned to the suite, he collapsed on the sofa, and had no strength to move. His agent Li Dali, next to him, massaged his legs and shoulders, and whispered all kinds of good words in his ear. Li Dali saw the caller ID on the table, and a strange look flashed across his eyes. "Brother Hua, your phone is ringing. You answer it." Su Nianhua waved his hand weakly. He did not seem to care who was calling. "What if it is Miss Yi? It is not appropriate for me to answer the call." Su Nianhua opened his eyes when he heard the words Miss Yi. He picked up the phone. "Hello? Hello." After hearing the voice on the other end of the phone, Su Nianhua glanced at Li Dali with a strange look in his eyes. "I don't think I need it now." Before hanging up the phone, Su Nianhua only said this one sentence. "Who is it?" Li Dali asked. Su Nianhua took his coat from the sofa and walked towards the bedroom. "It is not Yi Huanyan." Li Dali looked at Dong Xuebing's back view and had a meaningful look. The annual award ceremony was imminent. The planning department had submitted their proposals several times, but none of them reached Ling Han. Yi Huanyan had rejected all the proposals. 1 month before the annual award ceremony, the planning department staff would avoid Yi Huanyan like mice avoiding a cat. "Sister Yi, is this annual award ceremony really so important?" Dong Xuebing asked after seeing the planning department's staff getting scolded by Yi Huanyan for the umpteenth time in a week. "It is very important. No matter what you do, you must be one of the top 3 most searched celebrities on the day of the annual award ceremony. This is an unwritten rule since the inception of pleasure." Yi Huanyan knew Xiao Dong had just joined the company for a year, and had not attended the previous year's annual award ceremony. That's why he was not familiar with this event. When the time comes, several big partners who have close cooperation with Pleasure and Pleasure will come, and all the artists in Pleasure and Pleasure will also participate. Just the ranking of the artists in the group photo alone may cause gossip online, so we have to be careful. "I understand." Xiao Dong nodded. "Anyway, we cannot make any mistakes. This annual award ceremony is the focus of everyone's attention. You could say that." After saying this, Yi Huanyan took the teacup to the pantry to pour some tea. While waiting for the coffee, her phone vibrated. She took out her phone and glanced at it. It was Su Nianhua. On the other end of the phone, Su Nianhua's voice was very gentle. "Yin Yin, my concert is over. Are you free today? Let's have dinner together. I have to work overtime tonight, so I don't think I can." She raised her wrist and glanced at it. It was almost lunchtime. "I only have about half an hour of lunch break. I'm afraid I can't make it." "It's fine. I will look for you. I am near your company, but I don't know which building you are working in." Yi Huanyan frowned and looked out of the window subconsciously. "Well, I get off work at 12 o'clock. There is a Hong Kong-style tea restaurant on the first floor. It's across the street from the alley where you met Xiaoya and me last time. If you get there first, find a remote seat and wait for me." "Sure." The restaurant that Yi Huanyan chose was one of the more deserted ones among the office buildings in the main city. Because of this, it was suitable for a well-known person like Su Nianhua to hide his identity. She does not want to experience the incident of being chased by fans a second time. At 12 a.m., Yi Huanyan told her assistants in the cubicle. Don't buy my meals today. She grabbed her bag and ran to the elevator. Everyone looked at each other. While waiting for the elevator, someone joked. Secretary Yi, are you going on a date? Yi Huanyan spread her hands helplessly. Do you think half an hour is enough for a date? At most, it is enough for me to go out and eat. You want to eat alone, Secretary Yi. When the elevator reached the floor, Yi Huanyan waved her hand while getting on the elevator. Okay. I will bring you desserts when I come back. The assistants were usually serious at work, but after work, they were very happy. Hearing this, the office was filled with cheers. Ahem. Someone coughed. Everyone in the cubicle suddenly saw Ling Han walking out of the corridor and looking at them calmly. President Ling, you haven't gone for lunch yet? Someone asked boldly. Ling Han glanced at the elevator. Secretary Yi is going out for lunch? Yes, she just left. Xiao Zhang from the assistant team said. She looked at Ling Han's face and asked carefully. President Ling, why are you looking for Secretary Yi? Nothing. After saying these two words, Ling Han turned around and went back to his office. Everyone in the cubicle looked at each other. In the Hong Kong-style restaurant between the office buildings, there was no hubbub of people at noon like the surrounding shops. Most people were directly scared away by the amount of money recommended by the chef at the door. Other than the boss, there was probably no white-collar worker in the central business district who was willing to spend more than 1,000 yuan for lunch at work. This restaurant had been open for so many years and had not closed down yet. It was a big wonder. As soon as Yi Huanyan entered, she saw Su Nianhua sitting in the corner wearing a mask and a cap. He waved his hand. She looked around and made sure no one was following her before she walked over. You said you didn't have much time, so I ordered for you. You don't mind, right? It's okay, my taste is the same as before. Yi Huanyan took off her coat and put it on the sofa. Your concert has just ended, right? Yes, this year's concert tour has ended. Originally, there were 2 more concerts in Xiqing, but the manager was afraid that I would be too tired and hoped that I could protect my voice before the end of the year. So it was temporarily postponed until after the new year. That's good. Brother Dolly is really thinking for you. There is still about a month before the new year. Are you going home? Yi Huanyan slowly raised her head and looked at the loneliness in his eyes. That, I didn't do it on purpose. He had told her before that in order to leave his family, he had been wandering abroad alone and had not contacted his family for a long time. It's okay. Su Nianhua smiled slightly. I think they don't want to see me go back. They won't. Yi Huanyan frowned. Auntie must want to see you go home for the new year. In fact, so many years have passed, and now you have realized your dream. Your relationship with your family should be better. As a child, when you grow up, how many chances do you have to lower your head to your parents? Su Nianhua's eyes flashed with a trace of astonishment. Do you really think my parents want me to go back? Before Yi Huanyan could answer, a rapid ringtone interrupted their conversation. She hurriedly found her phone in her coat pocket, looked at Su Nianhua apologetically, and hesitantly pressed the answer button. Bring you lunch. Yi Huanyan's surprised expression made Su Nianhua slightly stunned. Chapter 125. Then what do you want to eat? Whatever. A cold voice came from the other end of the phone. It was a very short and simple reply. Oh, okay. After hanging up the phone, Yi Huanyan frowned as if she did not understand. She looked down at her phone for a while. After all, she had never had to worry about Ling Han's meals. Most of the time, Xiaomu would prepare them, and when Xiaomu was not around, she would instruct the assistant team to prepare them. What's wrong? Su Nianhua's concerned question came from the front. Yi Huanyan came back to her senses. Nothing. My boss told me to pack a lunch to bring back. Su Nianhua was slightly taken aback. He remembered the man he saw near Jinjiang Park when he just returned to China. Your boss is the one who drove you to the company from your house last time, right? He's quite young. Hearing this, Yi Huanyan's eyes froze, and she responded vaguely. Forget about him. Just pack a lunch for him later. He's very picky. He doesn't eat scallions, ginger and garlic. He also has all kinds of special requirements for sweet and salty food. It's so troublesome. She lowered her head to eat, and a strange look flashed through Su Nianhua's eyes. You seem to have a good relationship with your boss. Yi Huanyan was drinking water. Hearing this, she choked and coughed. Ahem. Why do you ask? You seem to know him very well. Avoiding Su Nianhua's gaze, she breathed a sigh of relief. It's nothing. I'm a secretary, so I naturally have to know more about my boss. Hurry up and eat. She looked up to urge Su Nianhua, but when she saw his tightly covered face mask, she was stunned. Their eyes met, and the two burst out laughing at almost the same time. How are you going to eat with a mask on? Yi Huanyan held back her laughter. She was a bit embarrassed because she was so focused on eating that she did not notice such a big problem. Su Nianhua raised his eyebrows with a helpless expression. I'll just watch you eat. If the previous situation of being surrounded happens again, I'm afraid you won't be willing to eat with me next time. How embarrassing. Su Nianhua glanced at her half-eaten French baked rice and smiled dotingly. I don't think so. Following his gaze, Yi Huanyan lowered her head to look at her plate. She suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Time was of the essence, so she had to eat quickly. After the meal, she waved for the waiter to pack a sandwich, a pineapple bun, and a cup of coffee. Originally, she had other things, but she looked at the time. She had to rush back before 12:30, so it would be faster to pack these things. While the waiter was packing, she chatted with Su Nianhua for a while. If you don't want to go home this month, what are you going to do? I don't know yet. Su Nianhua leaned on the sofa and seemed to be a little hesitant. I haven't signed with a company yet. Brotherly seems to be in contact with an artist agency recently. I received a call 2 days ago. If it's suitable before the end of the year, I might sign with a company. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. Thinking of the decision made at the company's executive meeting, she felt uncertain and could not predict what would happen. Ling Han said that he would sign with Su Nianhua at all costs, which made her break out in cold sweat for Su Nianhua. She hesitated. When you sign the contract, you have to pay attention to the terms of the contract. Many of the domestic agencies' terms do not protect the artist. It's okay, Brotherly is here. If you sign with a new company, will Brotherly still follow you? Yi Huanyan frowned. Yes, Brotherly has been with me for a few years. I'm used to it. Yi Huanyan could not remind him too much about his position. She just felt that Su Nianhua seemed to be too relaxed about signing a contract. If it was really like what Ling Han said, and sign with pleasure at all costs, then the team around him would definitely change. Lu Shenyu? Miss, your takeaway is ready. The waiter's reminder interrupted Yi Huanyan's words. She took the packed lunch and looked at Su Nianhua meaningfully. However, she did not continue what she wanted to say. I'm leaving first. I still have to go to work. Take care of your own matters. Okay, it's about time. I should go too. Looking at Yi Huanyan's back, Su Nianhua was stunned for a while. He suddenly remembered that he forgot to ask which company she worked at. President's Office of Pleasure Group. Yi Huanyan ran back in her 10 centimeters nude high heels. She held the door handle of the president's office and panted for a while. After she gradually calmed down, she knocked on the door a few times. President Ling, I brought back the packed lunch. Okay, leave it there. As soon as Yi Huanyan entered the door, she saw Ling Han sitting on the sofa and reading the newspaper. This leisurely attitude did not seem like the state of the busy company at the end of the year. She put down the bag and took out the packed food one by one. Ling Han's eyes looked over the newspaper and fell on the food. He frowned slightly. You changed restaurants today? Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. Yes, the Hong Kong-style tea restaurant nearby. The food is pretty good. Ling Han's eyes fell on the simple meal that was obviously for one person. His expression was slightly serious. After putting down the simple meal, Yi Huanyan stood up straight. President Ling, please enjoy. I'm going to work first. Where's yours? A brief questioning voice came from behind her. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. The high heels under her feet turned slightly, and she faced the man on the sofa again. I ate at the restaurant. Ling Han frowned slightly, but he did not say anything. President Ling, do you have any other orders? Then You ate alone? Facing this aggressive questioning, Yi Huanyan's heart tightened for no reason. With a friend. A friend. Ling Han looked up, and his scrutinizing gaze fell on Yi Huanyan. She wore light makeup today, which made her look good. She was wearing a beige professional suit that set off her elegance and calmness. This outfit was a little dazzling at this moment. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and looked a little unfriendly. The atmosphere was inexplicably tense, which made Yi Huanyan feel a sense of danger and vigilance. She felt inexplicably guilty in her heart. She did not know why, but she blurted out a lie. It's Xiaoyu. She came to have dinner with me today. The quiet atmosphere was suddenly broken by her voice. Ling Han looked at her with slightly restrained eyes. He snorted coldly with an indifferent attitude. Explain what? If I have to ask about this kind of thing, I'm afraid this year's annual meeting won't be held until the end of next year. Yi Huanyan looked at him blankly. Seeing his indifference, she nodded doubtfully. In addition, she felt guilty, so she did not dare to ask more questions. She simply went out of the president's office. When she turned around, she did not notice that there was a flash of a smile in the cold eyes behind her. Fujin Garden Villa area. Sheng Imran stood beside a prototype swimming pool in the backyard. Her high heels swayed on the grass. She raised her noble head slightly and looked sharply at the window on the second floor. Chapter 126. Not long after, old Zhang, the contractor of the renovation team, rushed over. He didn't have time to change into his work clothes. He looked much more refreshed than usual. He was sweating profusely and panting. Miss Sheng, didn't you say you wouldn't work today? Sheng Amran glanced at him, took out a stack of banknotes from her wallet, and handed it to him. Yes, I'm not working. I need your help. Seeing the banknotes, old Zhang's eyes suddenly lit up, but he didn't dare to take them casually. What's the matter? Miss Sheng, just say it. Bring me the ladder over there. Following Sheng Amran's gaze, old Zhang saw the stainless steel ladder lowered into the pool pit, and was slightly stunned. You are. I have something that I left in the room on the second floor. I accidentally locked the door and couldn't find the key, so please help me take a look. Sheng Amran's voice was somewhat meaningful. Old Zhang frowned and looked at the ladder, then at the window on the second floor. He remembered what Assistant Qiao had told him before. Miss Sheng, Mr. Qiao told us not to move that room. I didn't ask you to move. Just help me see if there's anything inside from the window. This. Seeing old Zhang's hesitant look, Sheng Amran immediately showed an impatient look. She took out a stack of nearly 10,000 banknotes from her wallet and stuffed them into old Zhang's arms. Okay, you do it. You're decorating for me, not for Assistant Qiao. Do you understand? It would be difficult to hand over the money that was in his hands. Old Zhang made up his mind and put the money into his chest pocket. He nodded like he was pounding garlic. Okay, Miss Sheng, please make way. I'll move the ladder for you now. Old Zhang climbed the ladder to the window on the second floor and pulled the window according to Sheng Amran's instructions. He turned around and said helplessly with a bitter face, Miss Sheng, this window is locked. There are curtains inside. I can't see anything. Sheng Amran stood under the ladder and stared at old Zhang with her hands on her hips. You won't smash it. Old Zhang's face was flustered. Oh, Miss Sheng, I don't dare. Sheng Amran frowned. What dare? You're so cowardly. Wait for me. I'll find you a brick. After saying this, she didn't care about old Zhang's objection. She casually picked up a red brick beside the pool, weighed it twice, and lifted it to the side of the ladder. Come down and take it. That won't do, Miss Sheng. I can't break the glass. What I put inside is more valuable than this glass. Hurry up and come down. Can you find a locksmith? Are you going to smash it or not? Sheng Amran frowned. If you don't smash it, I'll smash it. As she spoke, she raised the brick and threw it at the window. A brick weighing 2 to 3 caddies was thrown out by her hand. It didn't even reach her height before it fell to the ground. Old Zhang, who was high up, was frightened by Sheng Amran's momentum and exclaimed. His hands left the ladder and hugged his arms reflexively. At this time his feet slipped, and he slid down the ladder. The stainless steel ladder was shaking on the grass. Finally, it collapsed with a bang in the midst of Sheng Amren's frightened exclamation with her eyes wide open. Ah! Sheng Amren's scream sounded in the courtyard. Oh, Miss Sheng. Oh my God. It's bleeding. What should I do? Ah. You sit down first. I will call Mr. Chiao. In the office of the president of the pleasure group, Su Mang, the editor-in-chief of Fengshang, came with 2 sets of dresses for Ling Han to try on. Sister Su Mang, I haven't seen you for a long time. You are so busy, but you still bother to come here in person. Yi Huanyan's eyes passed over Su Mang's shoulder and fell on Ji Xiaoya, who was carrying 2 suits behind her. Ji Xiaoya exchanged a look with her. They had a tacit understanding. Su Mang smiled slightly. The silver sequined hip-hugging skirt glittered under the office light. She wore the most popular lace suspenders on the outside of the white shirt. She looked just like the editor-in-chief of a fashion magazine. Secretary Yi is still as beautiful as before. I made an appointment with President Ling before. We have something to talk about. By the way, I will bring the clothes he will wear in the annual meeting to try on. The size can be changed in advance. Okay. President Ling is inside. Yi Huanyan opened the door and welcomed Su Mang in. Sister Su Mang, why do you come in person? Ling Han stood up and showed a rare smile. I haven't seen you for a long time. You made an appointment to renew the contract with us before. But the contract hasn't been signed yet. I come here to renew the contract on purpose. Su Mang blinked. She was over 40 years old, but she still had a clear and cunning innocence when she smiled. According to Su Mang's instructions, Ji Xiaoya put the 2 suits on the sofa and then left the office with Yi Huanyan, leaving Su Mang to talk with Ling Han. As soon as they left the office, Ji Xiaoya seemed to be relaxed all over. She swung her 2 sore arms and gave Yi Huanyan a big bear hug. My Yan, we haven't seen each other for a long time. Okay. This is the corridor. The assistant group is watching. Come to my office and sit down. Yi Huanyan broke away from her claws and pinched her face. As soon as they returned to the secretary's office, Xiao Dong served Ji Xiaoya tea and water very sensibly. He called her Sister Xiaoyu and behaved like a humble and honest junior. Looking at Ji Xiaoya's enjoyment, Yi Huanyan leaned against her desk with a cup of water. Look at you. Do you regard your old company as a foot spa shop? How is the new company? Are you satisfied? Not bad. Except that I am a little tired and have to be ordered around by the she-devil all day long. Everything else is quite good. It was obvious that the she-devil was Su Mang. She was already in her 40s, but she was still standing tall in the fashion industry. In addition to her unique and innovative vision and accurate grasp of the market, she also had extraordinary communication skills and business acumen. She had single-handedly cultivated the 5 famous domestic models on the international stage, and there were countless well-known models under Fengshang. Those awesome people always had some eccentricities. Everyone in the circle knew that Su Mang was a person who treated her subordinates extremely strictly. She was so strict that she was abnormal. You don't know that the clothes she gave me were the smallest size. On the first day I entered the company, she told me that I couldn't squeeze myself into that dress within a week, so she asked me to pack up my things and get out. Yi Huanyan sighed. Looking at Ji Xiaoya's obviously thin cheeks, he clicked his tongue in wonder. No wonder I see that your figure has improved a lot recently. I was forced to. In the president's office, Ling Han had just changed into a suit and stood in front of the mirror. Su Mang was helping him to tidy up his bow tie personally. She seemed to be very satisfied with this work. After Ling Han put on the suit, she touched her chin and nodded with appreciation. Your figure is inherited from your father. It is the frame of your clothes. I have asked someone to send out the invitation to the charity banquet next week. You have to come to support me. Chapter 127. You will dance the opening dance. Su Mang smiled at her in the mirror. Sister, shouldn't you ask for my opinion? Hey, isn't it good to invite you to eat and drink for free? Remember to bring a dance partner. Su Mang patted her on the shoulder. This one seems to be not as good as the one just now. Change your clothes. I will wait for you outside. After saying this, the door of the bathroom was closed. He could vaguely see Su Meng's figure standing outside, nagging him to change his clothes. Looking at his swift and decisive manner, he was truly worthy of being the person that Ling Dongming had groomed back then. Ling Han raised a helpless smile at the corner of his mouth. He changed his clothes and asked, "What do you think of the assistant I recommended to you before? If she is not suitable, you can give her back to me." Across the door, Su Meng looked down at her newly done nails and said lightly, "Xiao Yu, she is not bad. She is smart and diligent, but her fashion taste is not good. But didn't you say that you would give Huanyan to me? Why did you change the person in the end? Can't you give her up at the last moment?" When he asked this, there was no sound inside the door for a long time. Su Meng seemed to have expected that he would have such a reaction. She stretched out her fingers painted with black nail polish and slightly bent them. Her knuckles gently knocked on the glass door. "Hey, every time I mention Yi Huanyan, you have this attitude. What happened to you in the last half year? Do you have something in your mind?" Rip. The frosted door was opened. A strong chest suddenly appeared in front of Su Meng. "Damn. I was scared to death." She patted her chest, and her attention was immediately attracted by the suit. "This wine red one is more suitable. There are too many black suits in your closet. You'd better wear something brighter for this kind of dinner party. Anyway, you are good looking, so you can wear anything." Ling Han lowered his head and pulled the white shirt in the cuff of the suit. "Well, this one is fine. Wait a minute. There seems to be something wrong." Su Meng took 2 steps back. She touched her chin and frowned. "Wait a minute." She walked out of the office as she spoke. Not long after, she pulled Yi Huanyan over from the secretary's office. She pointed at Ling Han, looked up at Yi Huanyan and asked, "What do you think of this outfit? Is there anything you want to change?" Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. "Sister Su Meng, are you asking me?" "Yes, I'm asking you." Su Meng touched his chin and nodded. He looked serious. Yi Huanyan followed her gaze and looked at Ling Han. He was dressed in a wine-red suit, which made him look tall and slender. He wore a pair of black leather shoes under his cropped pants, which exposed his ankles and made his legs look even more slender. However, his upper body seemed a little off. "Why don't you change your white shirt into a black half-turtleneck sweater?" Yi Huanyan suggested hesitantly. Su Meng stared at Ling Han and thought for a while. Then he suddenly clapped his hands. "Right, it's this shirt. It's so strange to match a white shirt. Ling Han, what do you think?" Seeing Su Meng's meaningful eyes, Ling Han's face tightened. He coughed for no reason and said, "Whatever." Su Meng blinked at Yi Huanyan and immediately said, "Well, since Secretary Yi said so, that's it. I'll go back and find you a black sweater. Then, I'll ask Xiao Yu to send it to you." Yi Huanyan waved his hand. No. Well, I'll go to your office to get it after work. I can take the sweater home and wash it first. He doesn't wear clothes that haven't been washed." Before she could finish speaking, she seemed to have realized something and abruptly stopped speaking. Her expression stiffened as she looked at Ling Han, wishing she could bite her own tongue. "You don't have to work overtime today. After work, you go to Sister Su Meng's company with me to get the clothes." A cold voice sounded in the office, making Yi Huanyan show a trace of surprise on his face. The obvious concern in Ling Han's words made Su Meng show an ambiguous expression on his face. Yi Huanyan froze on the spot for a few seconds and pursed his lips. "That's it. After work, I'll pack up in advance and wait for President Ling's sister Su Meng. You can talk with President Ling slowly. I'll go to work first." In Su Meng's eyes, he looked like he was fleeing in panic. She smiled slightly. After Yi Huanyan left, Su Meng glanced at Ling Han. "You are quite lucky to meet Yi Huanyan, a silly girl who only knows how to think about others." Such an evaluation could be regarded as a high evaluation from the sharp and sharp-tongued fashion demoness Su Meng. Ling Han raised his eyebrows with a look of disagreement. He took off his wine-red suit jacket, unbuttoned 2 buttons of his shirt, exhaled slowly, and then walked in the direction of the office desk. He said lightly, "Is she silly? Isn't she?" Su Meng turned his head and asked. "She takes good care of your life in every possible way. She is also a professional woman, but she still indulges you in food, clothing, housing, and transportation. Even a full-time nanny doesn't do that. Are you satisfied? Besides, is it convenient for you to go home from work to my place? The girl you gave me probably said a lot of bad things about me behind my back in front of her. Huan Yin is reluctant to let her best friend run around again. She is so kind. Speaking of Ji Xiaoya, Su Meng sighed. He was a little disappointed. Ling Han's eyes fell on the slightly shaking office door, and there was a trace of inexplicable warmth in his heart. Looking back, he saw Su Meng's meaningful eyes. He coughed twice and deliberately ignored the key points in Su Meng's words when he spoke. Why? You are very strict to Ji Xiaoya. She has suffered a lot, right? Aha! Su Meng sat down on the sofa with his arms crossed. It's okay. In order to help her lose weight, I cut off her lunch at noon and let her squat in the studio to watch the models shooting. Ling Han nodded, showing a non-committal look. He didn't care about the development of Ji Xiaoya in the new company. After all, she was working under Su Meng. Even a good-for-nothing could be trained by Su Meng to become an elite member of Fengshan magazine. If she couldn't bear it and went back to pleasure, he didn't care about keeping such an idle person in the company. Picking up the teacup on the desk and taking a sip, Ling Han suddenly saw the trash can out of the corner of his eyes. When he saw the takeaway box of the Hong Kong-style tea restaurant, there seemed to be a trace of information in his mind. Gradually, a beautiful and sweet face beside the coffee table at noon came to his mind. She explained to him in a hurry, I had lunch with Xiaoyu. Thinking of this, his eyes deepened a little, and his voice suddenly became a little dull. Sister Su Meng, at noon today, did you also let Ji Xiaoya go to the studio to watch the models? A careless voice came from the sofa. Su Meng didn't find the change of Ling Han's mood. Of course. Not even for a day. Don't you find that this girl's figure is much better than when you gave her to me? Ling Han frowned gradually. The blue veins on the back of the hand holding the teacup were a little obvious. Liars were truly detestable. Chapter 128. 5 minutes before leaving work, Yi Huanyan began to pack her things. Xiao Dong looked up from the computer desk and looked at her in surprise. Sister Yi, why are you leaving so early today? Yes. Yi Huanyan looked back at her and smiled. You look so happy. Are you on a date? Hearing this, Yi Huanyan was slightly taken aback and did not reply. The door of the president's office opposite was wide open. Ling Han was wearing a black suit and a gray cashmere coat in his hand. He glanced at the secretary's office. President Ling. Xiao Dong stood up immediately and looked at Ling Han nervously. Yi Huanyan threw the hand cream into her bag in a hurry. Give me 2 minutes. Secretary Yi. Don't you need to work overtime today? Ling Han's tone was indifferent. Yi Huanyan's face stiffened and asked hesitantly. Didn't I go with you to Fengshan to get your clothes? Oh, is there such a thing? I had too much work in the afternoon and forgot. He lowered his head and adjusted the cuffs of his suit with a cold face. But I have something to do, so you can take a taxi yourself. You can ask the finance department for reimbursement. Looking at his leaving figure, Yi Huanyan pursed her lips and could not help but grip the strap of her handbag tightly. Xiao Dong asked in a low voice beside her. I heard from Xiao Zhang from the assistant group that Sheng Amren was injured and hospitalized. President Ling got off work so early today. Are you going to the hospital? Ah. Yi Huanyan did not react and looked at Xiao Dong in a daze. You said Sheng Amren was injured? I heard that because of the renovation, she was hit in the leg by a heavy object. Sister Yi, don't you know? Xiao Dong blinked. The dullness in Yi Huanyan's eyes deepened, and her chest tightened. Lanjiang City, Lanjiang University-affiliated hospital. Sheng Amren was lying on the bed with one leg in a cast hanging on the frame. Her face was pale, and she gasped when she moved slightly. What happened? Ling Han had just arrived. As soon as he entered the room, he sat on the sofa. His concerned expression was not obvious. Sheng Amren guiltily glanced at Xiao Mu and said sheepishly, It's nothing major. It's just that I was bored today, so I strolled around the courtyard and ended up getting smashed by a ladder. Ladder? Ling Han glanced at Xiao Mu. It's a ladder. Xiao Mu creased her brows. The workers in charge of digging the pool didn't put away the tools properly yesterday. The ladder was placed against the wall. Miss Xing didn't notice it when she walked into the backyard and was hit in the leg by the fallen ladder. Did the doctor say anything? The doctor said that the cast will heal faster, but I'm afraid the cast can't be removed before the new year. We'll have to wait until after the new year. Xiaomu sighed. When she caught a glimpse of her leg in a cast from the corner of her eye, her eyes trembled. A hint of impatience flashed in Ling Han's eyes. Just leave the decoration work to the decoration team. Why are you joining in the fun? Sheng Amren was slightly stunned and lowered his head, looking very wronged. I'm just afraid that the decoration team will break the things at home. Han, I didn't do it on purpose. Sheng Amren felt more and more indignant at the thought of the charity banquet, hosted by Fengshang next Saturday. He had carefully prepared for so long, just to attend the banquet with Ling Han, to solidify his status. Now that his leg was injured like this, how could he still have the face to attend? Xiaomu helped to explain. Ling Han seemed to be in a bad mood today. He sat absent-mindedly for a while before getting up and leaving the ward. Looking at Ling Han's back, Xiaomu turned around and glanced at Sheng Anren. It's good that he's gone. Otherwise, you'll expose yourself if you say too much. Sheng Amren's heart tightened. He avoided Xiaomu's gaze and stammered. What expose? Well, what expose can I have? Xiaomu sat on the chair beside the bed and picked up an apple to peel. She sneered. The ladder that was placed in the pool is leaning against the wall for no reason? And it's facing the locked window on the second floor. Isn't it too much of a coincidence? Also, I've fired that worker. Starting tomorrow, a new renovation team leader will take over. You don't have to worry about exposing yourself in the future. Sheng Amren looked embarrassed. He pursed his lips and looked at Xiaomu. Since you're willing to help me cover it up, why can't you just tell me the truth? What's in that room? Xiaomu's left index finger and thumb held the two ends of the apple. The fruit knife in her hand made a beautiful arc, and a perfect peeled apple soon appeared in front of Sheng Anren. Most of the time, don't be curious about what others don't want to show you. This kind of thing will either hurt the owner of the thing or hurt you. You know what you want. Don't you understand this principle? I'm just curious. The cut apple pieces fell from the white porcelain plate one by one. Xiaomu's voice was sincere and gentle. Everyone has their own white moonlight in their heart, which others can't enter. You think that the more you know, the more you can understand this person and enter this person's heart. In fact, it's not true. Just like the fired renovation team leader, he knew too much but didn't gain our trust. Instead, he was directly expelled. Sheng Amren's face turned cold. You're saying that if I knew what was in that room, Ling Han would let me leave? That was impossible. Xiaomu put the cut apple on the table in front of Sheng Anren and handed her a fork. His face was still calm. Don't think too much. After all, you didn't do anything. Eat some apple. Looking at Xiaomu's calm face, Sheng Anren was frightened by his words just now. She seriously thought about the possibilities that Xiaomu said, and seriously estimated her weight in Ling Han's heart. Was the so-called white moonlight really sacred and inviolable for him? What was in that room? Xiaomu stuffed the fork into her hand and looked at her with a softer look. In the villa of Jinjiang Park, when Yi Huanyan went to Fengshang to get clothes, she was dragged by Su Meng to have a vegetarian dinner. When she got home, it was already dark, and there was a faint light in the villa. When she opened the door, only a floor lamp beside the sofa was lit in the living room. Ling Han was sitting on the sofa with his back to the porch. Yi Huanyan looked over his shoulder and saw that he was holding a financial newspaper in his hand. Hearing the noise, Lingling came out of her bedroom. Miss Yi, you're back. Have you had dinner? Yes. Yi Huanyan talked to her while secretly looking in the direction of Ling Han. Do you want to have some supper? Lingling asked. No need. Seeing that Yi Huanyan was so absent-minded, Lingling followed her gaze and looked in the direction of the sofa. She understood something and lowered her voice. Well, Miss Yi, young master came back early today, but he didn't seem to be in a good mood. He didn't speak and didn't eat dinner. Do you want to persuade him? Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. When she handed the coat to Lingling, she looked up and saw that the clock on the wall was pointing to 10:30. He hadn't eaten dinner yet at this time. Chapter 129. You go in first. Yi Huanyan glanced at Lingling. She glanced at the warm dinner on the table, then turned around and looked in the direction of the sofa. You haven't had dinner yet? The person on the sofa closed the magazine and turned around slowly. Where did you go? Yi Huanyan was stunned. After work, I went to Fengshang to get some clothes. You got the clothes from 5 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.? Ling Han walked around the sofa towards her, his eyes cold. Yi Huanyan, do you feel that lying is something that gives you a sense of accomplishment? Yi Huanyan's face froze and she mumbled, What do you mean? A piercing pain came from her wrist, making her face contort painfully. From today onwards, you have to come here within an hour after work. Why? I only had dinner with Sister Su Mang today. Yi Huanyan was in so much pain that the corners of her eyes teared up. She cried and shouted, Let go of me, I really didn't go anywhere else. What about lunch? Ling Han clenched his fingers and looked into her eyes aggressively, pausing after every word. Did you have lunch with Ji Xiaoya? Yi Huanyan's face turned pale, and her heart sank. Since you want to stay by my side and be my woman, then stay away from other men. You should know that I don't want a second-hand good. After saying this, he flung her wrist away in disgust. The force was so strong that she was flung to the side. Her waist hit the back of the sofa, and she felt pain. She held onto the sofa and slowly squatted down. When she was young, everyone said that a liar should swallow 1,000 needles. Children always took such a vicious oath seriously. When she grew up, she realized that lying had become the norm in life. She used one lie to cover up another lie, and in the end, she felt like she had swallowed 1,000 needles. It was so painful. Garden Hotel apartment in Lanjiang City. Su Nianhua stood by the bed, frowning as he made a phone call, holding a resignation letter in his hand. Brotherly, what do you mean by giving me a resignation letter today? Li Dali's voice came from the other end of the phone. Brother Hua, don't worry. I just think that pleasure is more suitable for your development. My team can no longer take care of you. It will only be a restriction for you in the future. What do you mean? What do you mean by you're restricting my development? Back then, you were the one who discovered me overseas and accompanied me for so many years. Step by step, you watched me walk to where I am today. How can you leave just like that? Calm down. A sigh came from the other end of the phone. You should sign the contract. When I first returned to China, I also told you that many companies in China don't allow artists to bring their own agents to sign contracts. The few companies I've contacted have the same problem. Isn't there Dingxing? Didn't Dingxing promise you that you won't have to change managers? But overall, there's no better company than Pleasure. You should seize this opportunity. Brotherly, I think it doesn't matter which company we go to when we're together. I'm fine with anything. I can't. The other end of the phone was silent for a few seconds, as if he had made up his mind. Listen carefully. You have your dream of being a star, and I also have my dream of being a manager. I've made too many mistakes in my work with you during this period. This also made me realize that I'm not suitable to manage you at the moment. So go to Pleasure. I'll spend time tidying myself up, not only for you, but also for myself. By the way, I really can't manage you now. I'm going back to America in 2 days, so don't think about it. Hello. Su Nianhua looked at the phone that had been hung up. His heart felt suffocated and uncomfortable. On the table was all the information about Pleasure. It was all arranged and left behind by Li Dali before he left. He suggested that he sign the contract with Pleasure, and also made some changes to the conditions proposed by Pleasure. He hoped that he could raise these conditions when the time came. He probably did all this because he was afraid that the departure would be too sad. He didn't even give him a chance to say goodbye properly. 3 days later, Pleasure Film and Television officially signed the contract with the artist, Su Nianhua. This hot piece of meat, that had been popular as soon as he returned to China, finally fell into the hands of the entertainment group's big boss, Pleasure. Other companies could say that they were sincerely convinced, and there wasn't too much controversy. The president's office. Xiaomu handed the drafted contract to Ling Han for a look. Ling Han casually flipped through it, as if he didn't care about the terms. He only asked, "Have you negotiated with the manager?" "It's done. The manager is Li Dong, a gold medal manager in Department 1. The company has always been assured that the artist will be managed by him, whether it's his public relations ability or he's so outstanding that he doesn't need a gold medal manager. Find a newcomer from Department 2 and bring him to see me." Before Xiao Mu could finish speaking, Ling Han interrupted him, and the way he interrupted him made him even more confused. 10 minutes later, the round-headed man was brought to the president's office. The man was less than 1.7 meters tall and couldn't be considered fat, but his head and body were inexplicably round, like a roly-poly toy. He wore a pair of black-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose, and he looked very dull. He didn't look like a manager, but more like an otaku from the technical department. "President Ling, this is Remy from Department 2. He has 2 female hosts with him, and he just joined the company a little more than a year ago. Do you know why I arranged for you to be with Su Nianhua?" Ling Han raised his eyelids and looked at him with a somewhat disdainful gaze. It was the first time he saw such a talent in Department 2. "Thank you for your appreciation, President Ling." These pompous words made people impatient, and Ling Han frowned. Su Nianhua just came back from abroad, and it's his first time signing with a domestic company. Since you're taking over his job, keep a close eye on him. Don't let anything happen. Yes, I understand, President Ling. That cough. Ling Han coughed dryly and lowered his head. "Report to me directly if anything happens." "Report?" Remy looked at Xiao Mu in confusion, but did not understand. After a few seconds of sluggishness, he asked woodenly, "Don't you need to report to our President Li and the Public Relations Department first?" Ling Han's face darkened. Xiao Mu was the first to react and glared at him. "I told you to report, so just report. What's with all the nonsense?" Remy instantly nodded submissively like he was pounding garlic. Ling Han looked at the roly-poly man in front of him with a smile that was not a smile. Where did the second management department find such a talent? Xiao Mu stood on the side and asked hesitantly, "How about I go find someone else?" "No need, just him." After saying this, he glanced at his wrist. "What time is the contract signing?" Xiao Mu glanced at the time. 10:30 in the morning. Su Nianhua will probably be here soon. Ling Han raised his eyebrows, an inexplicable chill flashing through his eyes. "Have someone prepare a conference room. Oh right, when you sign the contract, have Secretary Yi brew a few cups of coffee and send it in." Xiao Mu was startled at first, but she quickly reacted after thinking about it. Secretary Ye's coffee brewing skills can be considered international standard. It's a skill that normal people in the company can't taste. "President Ling, you truly value this Su Nianhua." This evaluation made Ling Han curl his lips, and a cold glint flashed through his eyes. Going abroad at 17, leaving his family for 10 years to fight alone, and now returning home in glory. I just want to see what kind of character he is. Chapter 130. The Secretary's Office. Yi Huanyan had just received the revised draft of the annual meeting's proposal. The revision this time was barely passable. After skimming through it, and confirming that there were no major problems, she prepared to send it to the president's office. Just as she stood up, she saw Ling Han walk out of the office across from her. He was dressed in a black suit, and he did not even look at her as he strode forward. Xiao Mu followed behind him, and knocked on the door of the secretary's office when she passed by it. "Secretary Yi, President Ling is having a meeting in the conference room on the 9th floor. Please brew 2 cups of coffee and send it over." Xiao Dong hastily said, "Let me brew the coffee." Xiao Mu creased her brows. President Ling specified that Secretary Yi needs to brew the coffee. Xiao Dong glanced at Yi Huanyan sheepishly. Yi Huanyan was taken aback for a moment before nodding. She glanced at Xiao Dong. "Then I'll have to trouble Xiao Dong to help me go through the proposal again. If there are any simple problems, send it back and let them revise it." Ling Han rarely drank coffee and mostly drank tea. Hence, when she was preparing the coffee in the pantry, she hesitated for a moment. Perhaps she wanted to change things up, but she still brewed 2 cups of coffee and walked toward the conference room. President Ling, Su Nianhua is here. Xiao Mu stood at the door. Su Nianhua was dressed in casual attire today and gave off a youthful vibe. He only took off his mask after entering the conference room, and he was slightly surprised when he saw Ling Han. You are President Ling? Ling Han nodded lightly. Mr. Su, I've heard a lot about you. Su Nianhua was puzzled. Have we met before? The corners of Ling Han's mouth curled up into a meaningful smile. Maybe it's fate. He turned his head to look at Xiao Mu. Xiao Mu understood and placed the contract in her hand in front of Su Nianhua. Mr. Su, this is the contract that has been revised according to your request. You've already seen the electronic version, so you can read it again. If there are no problems, you can sign it. Su Nianhua came back to his senses and nodded. After roughly flipping through the contract, he signed his name with 2 strokes of the pen. At this time, Yi Huanyan walked in from the door with a tray with 2 cups of coffee in her hands. Su Nianhua was sitting with his back facing the door. He was wearing a slightly oversized white down jacket and a baseball cap, so she didn't recognize him. Here's your coffee. She placed the coffee beside Su Nianhua and smiled politely. Then, she retracted her hand and prepared to get another cup. After hearing this clear voice, Su Nianhua suddenly turned his head. Yin Yan. There was an uncontrollable excitement in his eyes. He grabbed Yi Huanyan's hand before it could be retracted. Yi Huanyan's expression suddenly froze. Su Nianhua signed the contract today? No one told her. At this time, there was a chill in Ling Han's eyes. He stared straight at the 2 hands that were holding each other. As if she had a feeling, Yi Huanyan subconsciously raised her head. She was caught off guard by Ling Han's unfriendly gaze. She thought of what he said that night like a movie. She panicked and hurriedly pulled her hand out. She didn't even dare to look at Su Nianhua again. She quickly put down the coffee cup on the tray and said in a low voice, President Ling, your coffee. Su Nianhua was slightly stunned. He was a little puzzled by her indifferent attitude. His gaze passed over Yi Huanyan's shoulder and fell on Ling Han. He suddenly remembered that day near Yi Huanyan's house. The man who claimed to be her boss and took her away in a car. No wonder he looked familiar. It was him. The coffee today is not fresh, right? Are you going to serve Mr. Su this kind of coffee? Ling Han picked up the coffee and took a sip. There was a danger in his voice that could not be denied. Looking at his face carefully, one could feel an oppressive force. Yi Huanyan's face stiffened. Maybe the coffee sent by logistics this time is not fresh enough. I'll go and change it now. Ling Han glanced at her and said in a cold voice. Secretary Yi, are you deliberately trying to embarrass me in front of my partners? Yi Huanyan looked more and more flustered. She opened her mouth, but she didn't know how to explain. Su Nianhua quickly helped her out. I think this coffee is very good. President Ling, it's just a cup of coffee. Ling Han glanced at the coffee in front of him. Mr. Su, you think it's very good before you taste it. Are you more knowledgeable about coffee? Or are you speaking for Secretary Yi? Before Su Nianhua could think of an answer, he heard him say coldly, Consider it as giving Mr. Su face today. I won't pursue your work mistakes. Why don't you hurry up and change the coffee? Looking at Yi Huanyan's back, a trace of concern appeared in Su Nianhua's eyes. Although he knew that it was indeed impossible for superiors and subordinates to be as close as family in the workplace, it was not uncommon for superiors to lose their temper over a cup of coffee. However, when such a thing happened to the woman he cared about, he still found it difficult to balance in his heart. Such a gaze became very dazzling in Ling Han's eyes. He asked in a neutral tone, Mr. Su, you seem to know my secretary? Su Nianhua was slightly taken aback, but he didn't think too much about it. Yes, we used to know each other, but we haven't been in contact for many years. I heard that you've been abroad for 10 years. It's not easy to recognize a friend from 10 years ago. Ling Han's words were a bit thought-provoking. Su Nianhua's heart was set on working in the same company as Yi Huanyan in the future, so he did not carefully observe the change in Ling Han's expression. When he thought of her forbearing appearance just now, his heart ached a bit. Director Ling, I have a presumptuous request. He looked at Ling Han. Yi Huanyan is a very important friend of mine, so I hope you can take care of her more in the future. A cold glint flashed through Ling Han's eyes. Since she's your friend, it's just a small request. Of course. Seeing that Ling Han readily agreed, Su Nianhua immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Then I really have to thank Director Ling. You're welcome. Ling Han's smile was thought-provoking. Xiao Mu frowned as she looked at Su Nianhua. It was obvious that this gentle and refined man was not boss's match. How exactly did he become famous abroad and reach where he was today? In the pantry, Yi Huanyan had just brewed 2 new cups of coffee. This time, she tasted them first, and after confirming that there was no mistake, she prepared to bring them to the conference room with ease. When she thought of Su Nianhua's sudden action just now and Ling Han's icy gaze toward her, she felt a lingering fear. Yi Huanyan. A familiar voice suddenly came from behind her. Her entire body stiffened, and she abruptly turned around. Su Nianhua stood at the door and gave her a refined smile. Did I scare you just now? I also didn't expect to meet you here. Not only was she scared just now, but she was also scared now. Yi Huanyan reflexively looked behind him, but she did not see Ling Han's figure. Why are you here? Where's Director Ling? Su Nianhua followed her gaze and looked behind him. He said with a smile, Director Ling is busy and left after signing the contract with me. I said I wanted to look around, so I came here. I guessed that you were here. Ling Han didn't follow. He left her alone with Su Nianhua. Chapter 131. Yi Huanyan faintly felt that the situation was serious. She put down her coffee and frowned. Lu Shun, it's working hours now. Su Nianhua nodded and smiled gently. He raised his wrist and showed the time on his watch. 12 o'clock, your off-duty time. I've just asked. Let's go eat together. While Su Nianhua was talking, Yi Huanyan's gaze went over his shoulder and landed on the corner of the corridor outside the pantry. A figure was swaying slightly on the floor. Her face suddenly froze, and she hurriedly said, I'm working overtime today. After saying this, she almost ran around Su Nianhua and ran toward the elevator. When she passed by the corner, she glanced at the man standing there from the corner of her eye. It was Remy, the agent that Ling Han assigned to Su Nianhua in the conference room just now. At this moment, he was looking at her with a strange gaze, as if he wanted to dig out some information from her. She panicked and felt inexplicably guilty. She avoided his gaze and walked straight into the elevator. The atmosphere in the secretary's office was a little solemn. After the elevator door opened, Yi Huanyan saw from afar that A4 papers had fallen to the floor near the corridor of the assistant team's cubicle. A few of the assistants were squatting on the floor to clean up the mess. One of the girl's shoulders kept twitching. When she got closer, she heard the sound of sobbing. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. What's going on? Xiao Dong picked up the documents on the floor and put them aside. Don't mention it, Sister Yi. Just now, President Ling came back from the conference room. Xiao Lan and the others brought this year's audit report for President Ling to sign. In the end, President Ling directly threw the audit report to the floor. Why? Yi Huanyan frowned. He said that it's going through the company's procedures and should be handed over to our secretary to check. But Sister Yi, you're not back yet. Moreover, this audit report is issued by a third party. Even if there's a problem, we can't change it. Xiao Dong muttered a few words and was stopped by a few colleagues beside her. All right. Secretary Xiao Dong, stop complaining. Even Xiao Lan is not as talkative as you. I am just helping Xiao Lan. Sai, forget it. I think someone must have made President Ling unhappy again. Xiao Dong turned to look at Yi Huanyan and said, Sister Yi, didn't Chief Ling just go and sign a contract with Su Nianhua? How is it? Why are you like this when you come back? Yi Huanyan finally regained her senses. Oh, it's nothing. It's pretty good. The signing of the contract went smoothly. Very successful. Xiao Dong scratched his head. Very successful. Why is Manager Ling back with such an expression? Yi Huanyan looked towards the end of the corridor. The tightly shut door of the CEO's office was like a thick wall, making it difficult for people to enter. She stared at the screen for a while, and did not hear what Xiao Dong said to her. Sister Yi, huh? She regained her senses and turned to look at Xiao Dong. Xiao Dong saw Dong Xuebing in a daze and hesitated for a while. Brother Xiao Zhang is going to buy food today. Do you want to bring anything else? No need. After saying this, Yi Huanyan turned around and walked towards the secretary's office. Xiao Dong followed her. Are you going out to eat today? Xiao Dong smiled meaningfully. He approached Yi Huanyan and nudged her with his elbow. Sister Yi, you're in love, right? No. Yi Huanyan forced a smile. After taking her wallet and phone, she looked in the direction of the CEO's office and frowned deeply. During lunchtime, the CEO's office was very quiet. Xiaomu looked at the time and could not help but speak. President Ling, it's past 12. Let's eat first. There's a new restaurant in the building opposite. Ling Han did not look up. No need. I haven't finished reading the proposal. You can go and eat. Despite Ling Han's words, Xiaomu still did not move from her seat. Knock, knock, knock. Yi Huanyan pushed open the door with her slender and fair fingers and nodded slightly at Xiaomu as a greeting. Then she waved the lunchbox in her hand. I'm going out to buy food and bought one for President Ling. Xiaomu stood up from the desk. President Ling, I'm going to eat. Xiaomu tactfully left the office and closed the door, even though it was lunchtime, and no one would knock on the door of the CEO's office. Only Yi Huanyan and Ling Han were left in the office. Across the large desk, Ling Han kept his head down and did not seem to have any intention of responding to her. President Ling. He flipped to the last page of the draft proposal on the table. After signing his name, he closed the draft with his slender fingers. Only then did he raise his cold face reluctantly and face Yi Huanyan's direction. It's my break. What are you doing here? I bought food for you. He faintly glanced at it. The transparent bag clearly contained simple meals like sandwiches. Although it was not the same as yesterday, it was exactly the same. His eyes abruptly turned cold. Why didn't you chat with him for a while when old friends met? His words made Yi Huanyan think he was talking about the conference room. We don't have the kind of relationship you think we have. Also, I didn't chat with him much. Of course not. Ling Han's tone darkened, and the atmosphere in the office abruptly turned chilly. You're busy two-timing. You're hanging Su Nianhua on one hand, and you're also busy buying lunch to bring back. Where would you find the time to talk to him? Upon hearing this, Yi Huanyan was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. Her face darkened when she saw him slandering her without distinguishing between right and wrong. I sincerely came to explain, so I bought lunch. I was afraid you would misunderstand. The man behind the desk stared at the simple takeaway bag in her hand and found it more and more irritating. He got up and walked around the desk to stand in front of her and snatched the bag from her hand. Is this what you mean by saying that you were afraid I would misunderstand? So you sincerely came to explain? What's wrong? Yi Huanyan was puzzled. How much of your words can be trusted? Ling Han sneered. It was the same yesterday. Why don't you tell me who you had lunch with yesterday? I speak. Ling Han stared at her with a gloomy expression. Their eyes met, less than 20 centimeters apart. A ripple appeared in her clear eyes, and it was clear that she was trying to avoid his gaze. 3 words slowly came out of her mouth. Su Nianhua. Ling Han's face was extremely gloomy, and the knuckles of his fingers, which were holding the transparent bag, turned white, as if he would explode and destroy everything around him in the next second. There was a sound of opening the door, accompanied by a few stumbling sounds, and the muffled sound of heavy objects knocking on the ground. The woman's tone changed from delicate to forbearing in only 2 seconds. The 2 voices came at a very inappropriate time. Han, I bought it for you. Behind the half-open office door, Sheng Anren carried a beautifully packed lunchbox in one hand with a crutch. The smile on her mouth had not yet disappeared. Her face was stiff. The other hand, which was as white as jade, supported the door frame with encouragement. Her eyes fell on the bag in Ling Han's hand and gradually tightened. Did I come at a bad time? Chapter 132. Yi Huanyan didn't expect that Sheng Inran would come to the company to see Ling Han, even if she broke her leg. He admired her a lot. Ling Han's eyes flashed a trace of astonishment, but soon he was irritated by Yi Huanyan's indifference. Sheng Inran limped into the office with a cane and put the lunch box on the table. Her tone was very sour. Han, I just thought there was nothing delicious near the company, and it was not healthy, so I cooked lunch for you by myself. I didn't expect Secretary Yi to be so serious and responsible. Is she serious and responsible? Ling Han's face sank slightly. Bang! A sound was heard. In front of Yi Huanyan, the packed meal was thrown into the trash can. Yi Huanyan looked up at Ling Han incredulously. You! Go out. It's none of your business here. A few sandwiches are your so-called sincerity. Don't you think it's too easy for you to be a secretary? Ling Han's face was calm, and his eyes were full of gloom. Yi Huanyan's face was as pale as paper, but she didn't know how to respond to his words. Sheng Imran sat on the sofa in a dignified manner, just like a hostess. When she looked at her, there was even some pity. Ling Han ignored the trembling in her eyes. He held Sheng Amran's shoulder and sat down behind the coffee table. He let Sheng Amran pick up the food and put it into his mouth pretentiously. His expression and posture were intimate, as if he didn't care about her existence. She came out in a hurry. Han, try the soup I made. Looking at the slightly trembling office door, Ling Han glanced at the porcelain white soup spoon in front of him. The fragrant chicken soup was bright and beautiful. It smelled very good. Did you do it yourself? Ling Han raised the corner of his mouth, and his eyes fell on one of her legs, which was inconvenient to move, with a touch of ridicule at the corner of his mouth. Sheng Imran was slightly stunned and said embarrassedly, I was going to do it myself, but the doctor said that my leg can't be done for the time being. Well, you don't have to say any more. Ling Han interrupted her explanation. It's good enough that you have the heart. This sentence made Sheng Amran slightly stunned. Originally, he thought that if he was found to be lying, he would inevitably be coldly looked at. Unexpectedly, he was extraordinarily tolerant today. For the first time, he heard him say the word intention. However, his expression was somewhat absent-minded. Of course, I'm 100% devoted to you. When my leg recovers, I'll definitely cook for you personally. She took the opportunity to explain. It was a disguised apology and goodwill. However, Ling Han was not interested. No need. You're busy with work. Leave this kind of thing to the servants. Sheng Amran still wanted to say something, but Xiao Mu's gaze landed on Sheng Amran the moment she entered after finishing her meal. Let Xiao Mu send you back first. Your leg hasn't healed yet, so rest more at home. This indifferent sentence did not contain much concern. It was as if he was just being polite, and did not have the warmth from before. Fortunately, Ling Han had always been like this. After being by his side for so long, Sheng Amran was also used to it. On the way back, she sat in the back seat in a daze. When she recalled the scene she saw in the office today, she increasingly felt that Ling Han's attitude toward this Yi Huanyan was extraordinary. If he really hated this secretary as much as he appeared to, he could very well fire her. Why would he be so angry for her every day? She had seen it countless times. Assistant Xiao, how is Secretary Ye's relationship with your President Ling? She asked Xiao Mu, who was driving. Xiao Mu's indifferent expression was reflected in the rearview mirror. There's no difference between a superior and a subordinate relationship. Sheng Amran frowned. A superior and a subordinate relationship? I'm not a fool. Even I can see it. Assistant Xiao, don't tell me you don't know that Yi Huanyan slept with Ling Han. She first found out about this in Bali. After calming down for a few days, she did not think it was a big deal. After all, a man like Ling Han would be targeted by those women if she was not careful. She, Sheng Amran, did not even care about those who wanted to climb the social ladder. With her status in the entertainment industry, she could threaten those people with a few words, and they would all give up and disappear. However, this Yi Huanyan was different from those actresses. She was smart, scheming, and very courageous. She had to be on guard. However, Xiao Mu did not say anything. Why aren't you talking? Sheng Amran frowned. I don't casually discuss my boss's private life. Miss Sheng, don't make me lose my job. Xiao Mu's voice was as cold as a certain someone's. Speaking of this, Sheng Anren laughed out loud. What are you afraid of? If you get fired by Ling Han because of helping me, then come to my studio. I guarantee that your salary won't be less than what Ling Han gives you. Xiao Mu chuckled non-committally, and still did not give any response to her previous question. Sheng Anren did not expect to get anything out of her, so she leaned against the cushion and closed her eyes. Call me when you get there. Late at night. At the Ling family's villa in Jinjiang Park. Yi Huanyan had just finished showering and was about to go to bed when the sound of a car passing by came from downstairs. After a series of random opening and closing sounds, Ling Ling's voice clearly entered the room. Ling Han had returned. She sat up from the bed and stared at the door for a while. Then there was the sound of messy footsteps. With a bang, the door slammed into the wall with a loud noise. The smell of alcohol hit her in the face. Her body stiffened, and she was enveloped by the smell of alcohol. Even as she breathed, the smell of smoke entered her nose. The heavy smell of cigarettes and alcohol from his body swept over her, almost suffocating her. Who am I? His face was inches away, and his hot breath scattered on her face, but his tone was abnormally cold. You drank too much. She tried to push him away. Who am I? Yi Huanyan. He suddenly raised his voice and fiercely grabbed her hand, pressing her onto the bed. Ling Han. His tone was still cold, and he pressed closer. Yi Huanyan, you have to remember, I am your only man. The pain in her wrist made her suck in a breath of cold air. Looking at his drunken appearance, even if she wanted to explain what happened during the day, she couldn't explain it clearly. His hand was rubbing against the thin fabric of her pajamas, causing her resisting body to soften and gradually become obedient. There was a hint of fragrance in the smell of tobacco. The rich and vulgar smell made her body stiffen, and she blurted out, "Where did you go just now?" 3 words floated into her ears. Where do you think? This vulgar smell was not from Sheng Anren. Although her image in the entertainment circle had always been sexy, the perfume she usually used was very high grade, and it was definitely not this vulgar counterfeit. You make it clear. Eating with a client where a man should go. His indifferent look made Yi Huanyan feel that her stomach was overturned. Let me go, don't touch me. What, do you feel disgusted? Ling Han's legs suddenly clamped her wantonly moving body, and his face was gloomy. When you were pulling and pulling other men, why didn't you think that I would also feel disgusted by you? Chapter 133. The smell of perfume became more and more pungent. She tried not to look at his face, but he held her chin and forced her to look directly into his eyes. He lowered his head and bit her lips. There was a heart-wrenching pain on her lips. It was as if a wild beast was tearing her body, almost tearing her apart. In the blink of an eye, her pajamas were torn apart. Without foreplay, the friction between their bodies reached the maximum. She screamed, and her vision turned black. Before she fainted, she saw his red eyes. She seemed to have lost all feeling for a moment. Under the influence of alcohol, the repeated demands made her faint several times throughout the night. But he was still in a manic state. Yi Huanyan had never seen him like this. The fear and panic all over her body fell deeply into the gradually numb nerves. She finally couldn't bear it and fainted again. Ling Han's eyes gradually recovered a sober look. He stroked her cheek with both hands. The headache made him frown slightly. A trace of regret flashed in his eyes. He withdrew his hand, tucked her in, and turned into the bathroom. Fujinyuan Villa. Sheng Anren leaned on the bed in the master bedroom. Her injured leg tortured her all night. In addition, Ling Han's attitude towards Yi Huanyan during the day made her even more upset. Looking at the cast on her leg, she frowned and remembered the locked room at the end of the corridor. I have to see what secrets there are in it today. She made up her mind and took out her mobile phone. Sister Sue, help me find someone to unlock it. Yes now. Half an hour later, the yawning locksmith squatted at the door with a toolbox. He opened the door quickly and looked up at Sheng Anren. Madam, is it okay? Hey, this lock won't be broken in the future, will it? No, I just opened it for you. I didn't break it for you. Do you want me to change the lock for you? No. Sheng Amren quickly waved her hand. You'd better settle the bill with Suli later. Sorry to trouble you. It's nothing. After the locksmith left, Sheng Amren took a deep breath and pushed the door open. After turning on the lights, she was stunned by what she saw. The light pink walls, the single bed in the macaron hue, the white gauze curtains, the teddy bears on the bed, and the Barbie dolls on the bookshelf all told the person who stepped into this room that this was a girl's room. In the porcelain white photo frame, a family portrait of four was placed neatly at the head of the bed. The middle-aged man sitting on the chair beside him was tall and straight, and the young woman was beautiful and generous. The young man standing behind them had a calm expression, only revealing a faint smile. The ponytailed girl beside the young man smiled, revealing a mouth of neat teeth, bright and beautiful with a hint of youthfulness. Ling Han's sister? Sheng Amren was slightly stunned. He picked up the photo frame and looked at it carefully. It looked familiar. When she saw the girl inside, her face gradually turned pale. Yi Huanyan. It turned out to be Yi Huanyan. She looked around the room in disbelief and found a lot of photos on the desk, including group photos and single photos of the girl. All of these proved to her that the owner of this room was the owner of this room. It was the girl in the photo. What was the relationship between her and Ling Han? A terrible thought flashed through Sheng Amren's mind, and she shook her head violently. Impossible. She had never heard that Ling Han had a sister, and Yi Huanyan's surname was Yi. She barely managed to stand still by holding the corner of the table. Looking at the family portrait, she gradually calmed down. With a click, a photo was saved in her phone. Sister Sue, help me find out the relationship between the four people in this photo. Remember to do it secretly, and don't let too many people know. After hanging up the phone, she looked around the room again with a gloomy face. He was willing to let her decorate the entire villa, but he locked the entire room and told everyone not to move. What did he want to hide? Or did he want to keep something? Xiao Mu's words rang in her ears again. Everyone had their own white moonlight in their heart. Then was this place, this room, and everything here his white moonlight. Sheng Amren's eyes gradually turned cold as she stared at the photo. No matter what kind of white moonlight you were, she was never afraid of a head-on fight. The charity banquet hosted by Feng Shang was held on Saturday night. The invited artists were all A-list and B-list famous artists in the circle. When Yi Huanyan held Ling Han's arm to attend the banquet, Su Mang, who was standing at the door, showed a meaningful look in his eyes. He winked at Yi Huanyan, seemingly quite satisfied with this result. However, Yi Huanyan was a bit nervous. After all, until half an hour ago, she didn't know that Ling Han would take her to attend the banquet. 2 hours ago, Xiao Mu suddenly took her out of the possible reserved venue for the pleasure annual gala and took her directly to the beauty salon. A bunch of makeup artists and stylists worked around her for more than an hour to change her clothes, do her makeup, and do her hair. In this rush, she didn't even have the chance to ask Xiao Mu what on earth was going on. In the end, she was stuffed into a stretch Bentley at the door, until she saw Ling Han. He was wearing a wine-red suit with a black half-collar sweater inside. His waxed hair was combed meticulously. He sat in the spacious seat and looked at her expressionlessly. Her face froze. Where are we going? Su Mang's charity banquet. He threw this cold sentence at her, as if it was natural to take her there. I'm going with you? Or what? Can you be a driver or a bodyguard if you dress like this? Ling Han was a bit impatient. She was slightly taken aback and asked in a low voice. Why me? Ling Han's gaze froze. He turned his head and said lightly, Amren's leg is injured. Seeing that she was silent, Ling Han turned his head and glanced at her coldly. Seeing her face suddenly stiffen, his lips curled into a playful smile. If Amren wasn't injured, do you think you could attend such an occasion? Yi Huanyan lowered her head and pursed her lips. She was already regretting what she had just asked. She clearly knew that he was such a person, but she still handed the knife to him and let him poke her chest. Maybe she was really out of her mind. Ling Han saw her gloomy expression. He didn't know if it was because of the makeup or something else, but she was obviously thinner than before, and her chin was sharper. Ling Han frowned and showed a displeased expression. Didn't the company give you enough salary to eat? You are as thin as a bamboo pole. With your figure, you can't wear expensive clothes. Any normal woman would misunderstand Ling Han's words, and Yi Huanyan was no exception. After hearing this, she clenched her fingers. She immediately thought of Sheng Anren's proud 36D figure, which was known as the nine-headed beauty in Asia, and her face grew gloomier. Chapter 134. The Bentley slowly stopped in front of the red carpet. Ling Han took the lead to get out of the car. Yi Huanyan was a little nervous. Looking at the flashing lights outside, she felt uncomfortable. Ling Han stood outside the door and frowned slightly. After buttoning up his suit, he stretched out his hand toward the car. The person in the car was slightly stunned and took his hand. The more than 10 meters long red carpet was crowded with reporters waiting for the headlines. As soon as Yi Huanyan got out of the car, there was a lot of discussion wherever she went. Who is this woman? Why didn't Sheng Anren come today? Look, there is a new person beside Ling Han. A new person so soon. Do you know what's going on? Such remarks were widely spread among the reporters who entered the banquet with their work permits. And the content of the live broadcast quickly set off a discussion on the internet. The president of the pleasure group attends the banquet with his new girlfriend. Sheng Anren may have been broken up with him. And such topics were always on the top. In a corner of Fujin Court, when the delicate woman saw such a news, her face was distorted with anger. It was the first time that Yi Huanyan walked in such a big scene in full dress under the eyes of the public. From the moment she got out of the car, she felt that her body was not her own, and she could not walk well. The 12-centimeter high heels seemed to become very cumbersome on her feet. She felt like walking on thin ice. President Ling, who is this beside you? Is she your new girlfriend? A reporter in the crowd asked. Yi Huanyan was in a panic. She staggered and fell forward. There was an uproar around. Her palm was clenched. The expected pain did not come, and her body did not hit the ground. When she opened her eyes, she was in Ling Han's arms. He held her shoulder and stood still. He glanced at the reporter, who asked the question coldly. Then he held her hand and left directly. The flashing lights behind him kept clicking. The reporters were quite satisfied. Whether he responded or not, the heartwarming action on the red carpet would become ambiguous evidence. It was bound to make the headlines of tomorrow's Entertainment Weekly together with the big star, who was not present. After entering the banquet site of the hotel, Su Meng personally led the two people to the table closest to the stage. As soon as Ling Han sat down, he started chatting with the rich merchants around him. Yi Huanyan became a vase that served as a contrast. She sat to the side and picked up the juice without saying a word, calming herself down. After Su Meng greeted the important personnel, he sat down next to Yi Huanyan. You look beautiful today. The dress is nice. She winked and looked behind Yi Huanyan. He picked it out for you. Yi Huanyan was slightly taken aback. I don't know. It was probably chosen by the costume designer. This was the truth. Su Meng raised his eyebrows with a noncommittal look, but he took a thought-provoking look at Ling Han. It was a long dress with silver wings from BV and a diamond three-piece set that had just been released by Shilloli Jewelry this year. Ordinary fashion designers couldn't buy it even if they could pick it out. You walked with him today. Tomorrow's news will be interesting. Su Meng picked up the cup and knocked it gently on Yi Huanyan's cup. A sly smile flashed across his face. Are you unhappy? I'm afraid that movie queen is so angry at home now. Yi Huanyan picked up the cup and drank a little respectfully. He shook his head and said, Sister Su Meng, Sheng Anren is not so easy to bully. Oh. Su Meng was slightly taken aback. I haven't cooperated with her, but she doesn't look like a smart person. Why do you think so? Judging from the fact that she claimed to be Mrs. Ling and stayed with Ling Han for more than a year, it is not something that a smart person can do. Su Meng looked at her meaningfully. She is too insensible. Yi Huanyan lowered his eyes slightly and avoided Su Meng's sight. Sister Su Meng, don't you need to greet other people? Hearing this, Su Meng showed her signature smile. She stood up coldly and elegantly, holding the corner of her skirt. Of course I have to go. I'm just afraid that you will feel bored here for the first time. So I'll chat with you for a while. I'm fine. Yi Huanyan raised her head. Thank you, Sister Su Meng. I believe you will be fine. Su Meng glanced at Ling Han and left lightly. At this time, Ling Han had almost finished talking with the people around him. He turned around and drank some water. The host on the stage was also in place. He announced the official start of the banquet. All kinds of programs were interspersed with things donated by various stars to participate in the auction. There were calligraphy and paintings as well as various clothes and bags. The auction money would be donated to charity. Therefore, no matter what it was, it could be sold at a surprisingly high price in order to gain a good reputation. President Ling is still the same this year. He doesn't buy anything but donates directly? Yi Huanyan heard a voice from the neighboring seat. She was stunned and looked back at Ling Han. Since Su Meng became the chief editor of Fengshang, he would be invited to such a charity banquet every year. It seemed that he didn't take away any auction items. Did he donate directly every time? Yi Huanyan remembered that there seemed to be no such expenditure in the company's account. In his own name? The next auction item is donated by President Ling of the Pleasure Group, Ling Han. It is a ballpoint pen sketch named Him in My Eyes. When the host shouted these words, Ling Han and Yi Huanyan looked at the big screen almost at the same time. At the same time, there was an uproar under the stage. Some laughed out loud, and some were surprised. The host joked, Our Ms. Su Meng has really done her best for charity. She really has nothing to sell. She even takes out the napkins to auction. Everyone, I'm a little embarrassed. How about I take off my suit and auction it? The audience burst into laughter. Among the host's friends, a group of lively men clapped their hands and praised. The host raised his eyebrows. That won't do. My suit is rented. I have to return it later. There was another burst of laughter. All right, let's get back to the topic. Although this is just a napkin, it's also a real painting. Overall, the painting is quite profound. This painting was done by a lady that Ling Zong loves deeply. The painting conditions are simple, but it's very storytelling. I think it should be a beautiful love story. It was those made-up love stories that made people cry. Yi Huanyan looked at Ling Han in surprise. She clearly remembered that this piece of paper was torn up in that room at that time. What method did he use to restore it? And why did it fall into Su Meng's hands? Ling Han looked at her with some thought-provoking eyes. He avoided Yi Huanyan's eyes. Looking at the napkin on the stage that was a little funny in the eyes of everyone, he gradually frowned. He gave those pieces of paper to Su Meng, because she said that she could restore them. But who gave her the right to take them out for auction? The starting price of the auction. The host deliberately dragged out the last word and winked at the audience. 1 yuan. The audience burst into laughter, but no one noticed that Yi Huanyan's face was pale. Unquestionably, everyone regarded the auction of this napkin as a part of the program. It was just a small episode to adjust the atmosphere. I offer 10 yuan. Someone offered, and some people burst into laughter. 20 yuan. How about 21 yuan? Ahahaha. Chapter 135. In the playful bidding, no one noticed that Yi Huanyan's face gradually turned pale. The deep shame in her heart came from the fact that her heart was trampled by everyone. She even didn't dare to look at Ling Han. She didn't dare to know why he did this. Wasn't it enough to humiliate her once? Did he want to humiliate her in front of so many people? Did he want to prove to her how worthless her feelings were? 1 million. A cold voice sounded beside Yi Huanyan, sonorous and powerful. The hostess seemed to be unbelievable. She stared at the direction of the bidder and said hesitantly, President Ling, 1 million. The laughter gradually died down. Everyone's eyes gradually turned to the direction of Ling Han. Yi Huanyan didn't hear clearly what the hostess said. When she looked up, she met a pair of clear eyes with some anger hidden in them. The hostess saw the astonishment in her eyes. 1,500,000. 2 tables away from Ling Han, a deep voice sounded. The man who made the bid was about 45 years old. His eyebrows were gentle and elegant. There was some banter in his gentle eyes. He nodded slightly to Ling Han. Ling Han subconsciously glanced at Yi Huanyan. Do you know him? Yi Huanyan froze for a moment and shook her head. No, I don't know him. 2 million. Ling Han raised his card. 2,500,000. Ling Han frowned. Since he didn't know him, why was he interested in this napkin, which was useless in the eyes of others? 3 million. 3,500,000. No matter how Ling Han bid, the other party always increased the price by 500,000, and his voice was still indifferent. 10 million. Ling Han raised his card and stared at the man closely. Unexpectedly, under the gaze of thousands of people, the man stopped bidding and took a meaningful look at Ling Han. Then he turned his head and winked at a corner of the stage. Following his gaze, Ling Han saw Su Meng on one side of the stage. His expression darkened. 10 million going once, 10 million going twice, 10 million going thrice sold. All right, our painting will end up in the hands of President Ling of the Pleasure Group. The auctioneer's voice was particularly harsh at this moment. After the so-called small interlude, the remaining auction items were not as lively and interesting as this small napkin. Before the auction ended, a man who looked like an assistant came over and asked Ling Han to go backstage to get the auction items. When he arrived backstage, he met Su Meng, who was holding the napkin sealed by a layer of transparent film made of special material. She leaned against the corner of the sofa and looked at him with a smile. You know that man, right? As soon as he entered the door, Ling Han questioned him directly. Which man? Su Meng blinked and showed a playful expression. I'm the one who organized the banquet, so of course I know all the guests. Ling Han frowned and said in a deep voice, the one who bid with me today. Oh, you mean Director Li? We're quite familiar with each other. What's wrong? Su Meng pretended to ask the obvious. Ling Han slowly exhaled and suppressed his temper. Sister Su Meng, is it interesting to tease me? Even if you don't sell this painting, I will do it without hesitation if you ask me to pay 10 million yuan. Of course, you pay more than 10 million yuan every year, but you still refuse to be on the list of celebrities in charity. You are too low-key. Su Meng raised her chin and showed an unfathomable smile. But I always feel a little sorry to ask you to give me money for nothing every year. Ling Han's brows loosened a little. What do you mean on earth? Su Meng shook the paper in her hand and asked with a blink. I'm suddenly very curious about the importance of Yi Huanyan in your heart. Ling Han was silent for a few seconds and stared at Su Meng. Is this the meaning of you taking this thing out for auction? No matter what the result is, I will definitely return this thing to you in the end. I'm just curious, Ling Han. Su Meng lowered her head and glanced at the painting. Although you didn't tell me who drew it, it is not difficult to see that it is the work of Yi Huanyan from the yellowed paper and the letter Y on the corner. If I remember correctly, she studied art in college. So what? Ling Han's face became a little more serious. Even if she drew it, so what? I just want to take back what originally belongs to me. It has nothing to do with her. A trace of strangeness flashed through Su Meng's eyes. She raised her eyes and looked at Ling Han. If Manager Li continues to bid, how much do you think you will give up this auction item? Ling Han stared at Su Meng for a few seconds and grabbed the paper, leaving only his back to Su Meng and a sentence that had nothing to do with him. Su Meng, you are just my father's apprentice. Don't meddle too much. After Ling Han left, Su Meng stared at his back for a while. She seemed to see the shadow of another person in her eyes. Suddenly she felt a little lost. When a usually calm person avoids answering someone else's question and uses personal attacks or drawing a clear line to try to divert the attention of both parties, it means that this kind of question is very important to this person. It can even be said that this kind of question directly hit the vital point of this person. A deep man's voice sounded from the door of the bathroom. Su Meng turned around and glanced at the man. What do you think of Ling Han's mind when I asked him just now? The man's shoulders shrugged slightly, showing a look of confidence. He is a 30-year-old man. He should have an adult's view on his feelings. In fact, you don't need to worry so much. As he said just now when he left, you are just Ling Dongming's apprentice. In fact, you have nothing to do with him. Su Mang was stunned for a few seconds and sighed slowly. I'm afraid that he can see it clearly but can't do it. Compared with this, I am more curious about why you are so worried about him. Is it because he is your master's son or because he is Ling Dongming's son? Is there a difference? Yes. The man's eyes deepened a little. Master, there is a difference between you and a man. Su Mang's face was obviously stiff. She avoided the physical contact between the man and her, and took a step back. Li Ao, you are meddling too much. In the banquet hall, Yi Huanyan sat at the table and waited until the end of the banquet, but Ling Han didn't come back. After the banquet was over, a teenager dressed as a waiter came to inform her that Ling Han had left in advance. The teenager waiter looked annoyed and apologized again and again. Miss, I'm really sorry. Mr. Ling told me early in the morning. I was called by the kitchen for something at the last minute, so I forgot about it. Please don't complain about me. Yi Huanyan sighed helplessly. It doesn't matter. I won't complain about you. She just glanced at the time on the big screen in the banquet hall. It was already 11 o'clock at night. She didn't know whether it was easy to get a taxi in this place. Yan Yan. Yi Huanyan was called and turned around. She saw Su Nianhua in a royal blue suit at a glance. He was looking at her with surprise. It's really you. Chapter 136. Why are you here too? I came with President Ling. Yi Huanyan avoided Su Nianhua's gaze, feeling inexplicably guilty. Where is he? Su Nianhua was slightly taken aback. I haven't said hello to him yet. He did not notice Yi Huanyan's strange expression. He looked around, but did not see Ling Han. President Ling has something to do, so he left first. Su Nianhua was slightly taken aback. He left you here alone? Yi Huanyan's lips twitched. It's fine. I'll call a cab home. Where can I get a cab here? Just come with me. I'll take you home. Su Nianhua pulled Yi Huanyan toward the door without any explanation. There were many reporters at the charity banquet. Yi Huanyan frowned and pulled her hand out. Su Nianhua was stunned. He caught a glimpse of the reporters who had yet to leave from the corner of his eye. He understood a little and said softly, There are so many people at the banquet. Let's leave through the back door before the reporters take photos of us. After Su Nianhua signed with pleasure, the company set up a special studio for him. He was responsible for the team and the funding. At the same time, he also took a commission every year. Therefore, he had a certain degree of autonomy in attending such a banquet. And Ling Han and he did not necessarily know each other. The nanny van was parked at the back door. The roly-poly waiting at the door was Su Nianhua's agent Remy. The first time Yi Huanyan saw Remy was the day Su Nianhua came to the company to sign the contract. She did not have much of an impression of this agent called Remy. He did not seem to be a capable person in the company. She did not understand why Ling Han would assign such a person to Su Nianhua. When he saw Yi Huanyan, Remy was slightly taken aback. He lowered his head slightly and greeted, Secretary Yi. Yi Huanyan nodded. In the car, Su Nianhua reached out and gave her a hand. Remy closed the car door from the outside, took a deep breath, and frowned as he gripped his phone in his pocket. He then hesitantly got into the passenger seat. Thinking back to the time when Yi Huanyan signed the contract at the company, Su Nianhua felt a knot in his heart. He had a feeling that Yi Huanyan seemed to have encountered something difficult. Last time at the company, your expression didn't seem right. Did something happen? Yi Huanyan shook his head, his voice faint. It's nothing. It's just that the company is quite strict, so I'm usually quite busy with work. At that time, I really didn't have time to talk to you. Sorry. Su Nianhua looked hesitant. Is your boss Ling too harsh on you? No. Yi Huanyan's face tensed up a little. She looked up and saw Su Nianhua's clearly suspicious expression, so she said in a more serious tone, It's really not that bad. Every company has its own management system. My job is pretty good. Others can't get it even if they want it. You don't have to worry. Seeing her like this, Su Nianhua had no choice but to stop asking. Okay then. If you have any difficulties, you must tell me. I'll do my best to help you. Yi Huanyan secretly let out a sigh of relief. It's almost the end of the year. The studio hasn't arranged any work for you, right? Not at the moment. My agent has already arranged some commercials. I'm not too busy. The main work is signed after the new year. Didn't you say that I should go home to visit my parents during the new year? I thought about it and I should go back. That's good. After the company's annual meeting, you should be able to go home. At the mention of the annual meeting, Su Nianhua looked up and asked, I heard that at Pleasure's annual meeting, all the employees and artists have to officially walk the red carpet together. Is that true? Yi Huanyan nodded. Yes, that's true. But you don't have to walk the red carpet. After all, there were thousands of people in the company. If they walked down the red carpet one by one, it would be troublesome. An entire night would pass. Plus, some of the more introverted people were not interested in this. Basically, it was discussed in advance. The upper management would bring their artists or family members to walk the red carpet and take the lead to warm up the atmosphere. People like Su Nianhua usually had to walk the red carpet. After all, the annual meeting was a time for the company's human resources to show their skills. Many famous artists would be shown at this time. This determined the company's market value. So famous artists walking the red carpet was a firm rule of the company. Yan, if you're not busy that day, can you be my female companion? Su Nianhua's words made Yi Huanyan suddenly look up at him. After so many years, his eyes were still clear and his eyebrows were clean. He did not look like a rock singer at all. Instead, he looked more like a folk singer. At this moment, his spotless eyes were looking at her without blinking. He was very expectant. I might be very busy that day. Su Nianhua's eyes flashed with a trace of disappointment, but he was unwilling to give up and asked, You don't have to rush to agree. You can think about it again. That kind of gaze was really irresistible. Yi Huanyan frowned and sighed helplessly. Okay, I'll see how it goes on that day. After all, I'm one of the planners of this year's annual meeting. I'll have to help out on the spot. I might not be able to walk the red carpet. It was just a vague reply. It was not a promise, but Su Nianhua was so happy that the corners of his eyes were full of smiles. Yi Huanyan got out of the car when they reached the entrance of the neighborhood. Let me send you in. It's okay. There are street lights in the neighborhood, so it's quite safe. Nothing will happen. The neighborhood has been under martial law recently, so it's quite troublesome for non-residents to get in and out. Yi Huanyan politely declined Su Nianhua's kindness and got out of the car. Wait a minute. Su Nianhua took off his jacket and was about to wrap it around her shoulders when she stopped him. She looked a little flustered. No, it's okay. It's not far. I'll go first. The cold wind was blowing, and her off-the-shoulder dress made her shiver in the cold. She had just said a few words, and her lips were purple from the cold. Su Nianhua frowned. Stop it. You'll catch a cold again. He draped his down jacket over her shoulders without any explanation. All right, you can go in now. The down jacket was warmed by the heater in the car, and it still had the faint smell of Su Nianhua's detergent. He did not use perfume, so the smell of detergent was very gentle. It was very cold when the cold wind was blowing on her face. It was fine when she was not wearing it, but now that she was wearing it, she could not control herself and could not take it off. Ling Han might have already fallen asleep. It was just a down jacket, and he would not ask about it. Yi Huanyan took a deep breath. Thank you. Su Nianhua watched her trembling figure disappear into the neighborhood. He turned around and was about to get into the car when he suddenly saw the security office at the entrance of the neighborhood. He frowned and walked straight up to confirm a guess in his heart. Brother, do you still remember me? Oh, I remember you. Su Nianhua, right? The last time you came here in the wee hours of the morning, you even gave me your autograph. Didn't I let you in? The security guard looked at Su Nianhua with a smile. Does it have to be a resident to enter and leave the neighborhood now? Generally speaking, it is, but there are often non-residents who enter and leave. They just have to register their license plate number and come out at a set time. What about people? Do people who don't drive have to register too? Chapter 137. The security guard was slightly stunned and waved his hand. That doesn't matter. Everyone has relatives visiting. How can we care about that? As long as it's not a suspicious person, we usually don't care. Su Nianhua nodded and glanced in the direction where Yi Huanyan had just disappeared. What's the name of the owner of that house? Can I ask? In the face of the security guard's vigilant look, Su Nianhua smiled slightly. I plan to buy a house here, but I heard that all the houses here are sold out, so I want to see if there is anyone who is willing to sell. The location of the house over there is quite good. No wonder you came to our neighborhood so early in the morning last time. The security guard looked as if he had suddenly realized something and laughed loudly. That house probably won't be sold. The owner doesn't lack money. By the way, if you came early, you might have met the owner. The owner, Miss Yi, just left. Su Nianhua breathed a sigh of relief and nodded with a smile. Then forget it. He saw Yi Huanyan's hesitant expression when she put on his jacket. He remembered that when he sent her back several times, she always looked away, as if she was trying to avoid something. There were some strange thoughts in his mind that he couldn't explain. He couldn't tell what he was suspecting either, until he confirmed that Yi Huanyan was indeed the owner of the house. His heart gradually relaxed. Jinjiang Park, District A, Villa 6. The castle-like lights at the entrance illuminated the ground. Yi Huanyan trembled as she keyed in the password. She sniffed and pushed the door open. The lights in the living room were on. After confirming that Ling Han wasn't downstairs, she quickly took off her down jacket and went upstairs to the bedroom with it in her arms. She was so fast that when Ling Ling heard the noise and put on her jacket, she didn't see anyone in the living room. For a moment, she thought she was hallucinating. There was a thin wall between Yi Huanyan's room and Ling Han's room. If there was a slight movement, the other side would hear it clearly. When Ling Han opened the door, Yi Huanyan was not in the bedroom. The sound of running water coming from the bathroom made him frown slightly and take 2 steps in the direction of the bathroom. Yi Huanyan stood behind the bathroom door with the down jacket in her arms. Her heart was in her throat. The down jacket in her hands, which was obviously a man's, suddenly became a hot potato. Amidst the sound of splashing water, she heard Ling Han's light footsteps stop at the bathroom door. Then there was no more movement. Outside the door, Ling Han raised his hand. When it was hanging in the air, he thought of what Su Mang asked him at the banquet. If the 10 million didn't stop, how much did you plan to bid for this painting? His well-defined fingers gradually retracted. His fingers brushed past the material of the pajama pants, and then clenched into his palm. Just as he turned around, a ding sound rang. It was as if he had calculated the time. The phone on the bed lit up, and a message popped up. Are we home yet? Signed by Su Nianhua. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of knocking on the door suddenly sounded. Yi Huanyan, open the door. The imperative tone made it impossible for her to refuse. After a long time, Yi Huanyan slowly opened the door. She was wrapped in a bath towel. Her wet hair was still dripping on her shoulders. The makeup on her face had not been removed. She looked a little tired and confused. What's wrong? Ling Han's eyes swept through the bathroom. Except for the expensive dress thrown on the ground, there was nothing unusual. It was different as usual. Why did you come back so late? He frowned and asked. When the banquet was over, the waiter told me that you had left. At the banquet I met someone I knew and sent me back. Looking at her stuttering appearance while trembling with fear, Ling Han's eyes were cold as he questioned her. Su Nianhua. Yi Huanyan's face suddenly froze. After a long time she nodded. Yes. The few seconds of Ling Han's silence were like the eve of a storm. For Yi Huanyan, it was filled with the fear of the unknown. She even hoped that his anger would come sooner, so that she would not be frightened, and that every cell in her body was in a state of war. A cold voice came from above her head. Rest early after the shower. Rush up the revision of the annual meeting plan tomorrow morning. When Yi Huanyan looked up, Ling Han had already walked to the door, leaving only a blurry shadow in the darkness. She suddenly did not know if she should breathe a sigh of relief. Closing the bathroom door, she looked back at the small bathroom window with mixed feelings. The next morning, when she left the house, Yi Huanyan carried the biggest handbag in her closet, but it was still bulging. She hurriedly grabbed a piece of bread from the dining table and rushed to catch the bus before Ling Han woke up. After handing in the final draft of the annual meeting plan in the morning, Su Nianhua's agent, Remy, went to see Ling Han in his office. When he came out, Yi Huanyan chased after him to the elevator and handed him a bag. She lowered her voice and said, "Remy, help me return this to Lu." Su Nianhua. Remy was slightly taken aback. He looked at Yi Huanyan with a strange gaze, but he nodded and responded. After returning the clothes and returning to the secretary's office, Yi Huanyan finally relaxed. "Sister Yi, President Ling said that we'll use this draft of the proposal, and that we don't need to change it anymore." Xiao Dong walked out of the president's office with a folder and placed the final draft of the proposal on Yi Huanyan's desk. Xiao Mu poked her head out of the president's office. "President Ling wants a cup of coffee." "Okay, I'll do it." Yi Huanyan stood up reflexively. "No need." President Ling said to leave these matters to Xiao Dong. "Secretary Yi, you can handle the annual meeting." Yi Huanyan was slightly taken aback when she heard this. "Then I'll finish brewing this cup of coffee first. Xiao Song from the planning department will come over later to discuss the venue for the annual meeting with you. Leave brewing the coffee to Xiao Dong." Xiao Mu's tone was solemn. She emphasized her words twice in a row, making it very obvious. Yi Huanyan's brows creased slightly as she watched Xiao Dong hurrying to the pantry. She tried to find a hint from Xiao Mu's face. She tried to probe. "Assistant Xiao, how's President Ling's mood today?" "Not bad." "Then lunch." "He ate quite well and quite a lot," Xiao Mu reminded as she raised her wrist and glanced at it. "Secretary Yi, it's about time. I think you should pack up and meet up with Xiao Song at the elevator." After saying this, Xiao Mu turned around and entered the office, closing the door behind her. The pantry was at the end of the corridor between the secretary's office and the president's office. Yi Huanyan stood in the corridor and could clearly see Xiao Dong's flustered figure in the pantry. She could not help but frown. She didn't know if Ling Han was angry at Su Nianhua for sending her home last night. She also didn't know if it had anything to do with the fact that she was suddenly arranged to go to the venue of the annual meeting. These questions that she should have considered suddenly disappeared. At this moment, there was only one thought in her mind. "I should teach Xiao Dong how to brew coffee before Xiao Song comes." Chapter 138. City Center Cultural Center. Yi Huanyan recorded the size of the venue with a notebook and pen in her hands. Xiao Song from the planning department followed her instructions and quickly calculated the tables and chairs needed for the annual meeting. "Secretary Yi, why didn't you arrange for it to be in a hotel? There are 3,000 people in the company attending the annual meeting. If you have the ability to find a hotel with such a large banquet hall in Lonjiang City, we'll use that one. It doesn't matter if the food is not good, we can bring our own chef." After explaining, Yi Huanyan put away the tape measure in her hands and turned to look at Xiao Song. "It's about the same size as what the person in charge here said. According to the size of 3,000 people, there should be more than enough space to go from the red carpet to the stage. We'll need about 150 long tables for food and drinks." Xiao Song shut his mouth in embarrassment and silently pressed on the calculator while recording every detail that Yi Huanyan gave him. Secretary Yi was indeed as the company's rumors said. She was serious and meticulous in her work. She could not be underestimated. His heart sank when he recalled what the department had told him before he came out. The president's office has never sent someone to watch over the annual meeting planning. This time, President Ling arranged for Secretary Yi to come. It's very likely that he intends to secretly investigate and see if we have neglected or lied to the higher-ups. There are more or less places in the department that I can't reach. You have to be careful with what you say and do. Xiao Song. Yi Huanyan's voice startled him, and he came back to his senses. "Huh? What did you say, Secretary Yi?" "I said it's time. You can get off work." Xiao Song was slightly stunned and looked down at his wrist. "Secretary Yi, It's not even 4:30 yet. It'll take more than an hour to get back to your school from here. It'll be 5:30 by the time you get there. Xiao Song was a fourth-year student at a university in Lanjiang City. He was recruited 2 months ago and would graduate next year. Yi Huanyan had seen him a few times in the company. He was honest and had no flaws other than being a little dull. Oh. Xiao Song nodded and turned to walk towards the door. After taking 2 steps, he realized that Yi Huanyan was still standing there. He stopped in his tracks. Secretary Yi, aren't you leaving? I'm not going back to the company. I have to confirm the props for the wedding venue with the prop company. I have to arrange it a week in advance. You can go first. Oh, okay. Just as he turned around and took 2 steps, another voice chased after him. By the way, let's take a taxi back. It's too cold outside. Keep the receipt. I'll reimburse you later. Yi Huanyan's voice actually belonged to the sweet type. When she wasn't talking about work, it could be heard if one listened carefully. The main reason was because she spoke fast and her tone was indifferent, so it sounded a little unreasonable. According to the company's regulations, when traveling on business trips, one should choose the most economical mode of transportation, as long as there were no accidents. From this place, it only took half an hour to get to the company by bus. However, it was a long way to go after getting off the bus. When they arrived, Yi Huanyan took the bus with him. Should he go back and ask him to take a cab? He was stunned. Thinking of the department head's words, he hesitated and said, "The company's regulations don't seem to allow this kind of taxi fare to be reimbursed, so." Yi Huanyan frowned and muttered to herself, "That's right. How did the Human Resources Department recruit such a brainless intern?" She, the executive project manager in charge of the annual meeting planning, had already agreed, but he was still talking about the company's regulations. She really had to hand it to him. Her 10 centimeters high heels created wind under her feet. She impatiently took out 5 100 yuan notes from her wallet and stuffed them into Xiao Song's hands. Consider it a meal supplement for the project staff. Seeing Xiao Song's hesitant expression, Yi Huanyan frowned. You should be busy with your final exams in university recently. Don't tell me you don't have to go back to school to revise? There's nothing to do today. Go back early and do your own things. The closer it is to the end of the year, the busier it will be. When the time comes, you can't blame the company if you don't have time to revise. Xiao Song looked at the 5 bright red notes in his hand with a dumbfounded expression. The internship at Pleasure was calculated by the number of days. It was 50 yuan a day, unpaid overtime, and 20 yuan for business trips. It was really pitifully little. For students in school, the subway fare between school and the company was 10 yuan a day. Including food, there was very little left. Secretary Yi, this is too much this. Yi Huanyan frowned at his hesitation. In the few times that Yi Huanyan saw Xiao Song, she saw him eating half a cold steamed bun in the cubicle twice. It made her feel very sad. Leave the rest for a cab in the future. Remember to give me the receipt. She always felt that even if she gave him money to leave, he wouldn't take a cab in order to save money, so she asked him for the receipt. Xiao Song walked away, looking back repeatedly. Yi Huanyan was the only one left in the huge cultural center. After looking around, she called the carpet and other props company, and was busy until the sky turned dark. When she returned to Jinjiang Court, she learned from Lingling that Ling Han had already eaten dinner and gone to bed. It was like this for 3 days in a row. She left early and returned late. Plus she wasn't working at the company. The two people very subtly avoided each other. For 3 days, they lived under the same roof, but they didn't even see each other. Pleasure Group President's office. Ling Han picked up the teacup that Xiao Dong had just brought in and took a sip. He frowned and looked down at the layer of foam on the tea, before silently setting the teacup to the side. Xiao Mu was organizing documents on the side. When she looked up and saw this scene, she hesitated. President Ling, how about we have Secretary Yi transfer back? The planning department has the ability to complete the annual meeting's venue planning independently. It seems like Secretary Yi is using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Ling Han's eyebrows visibly twitched, but he didn't say anything. Xiao Mu then boldly added, Xiao Dong's tea brewing skills are indeed not very good. She didn't even learn half of Secretary Ye's skills. No wonder you're not used to it. Upon hearing this, Ling Han's gaze changed slightly, and his tone turned colder. No need. Before she came to Pleasure Group, I also didn't have the habit of drinking tea. Xiao Mu was stunned. A trace of astonishment flashed through her eyes. Even though Ling Han and Yi Huanyan had always felt awkward, it had never been as strange as the past few days. And this kind of strangeness happened when Yi Huanyan wasn't around. He looked at Ling Han with a frown. He seemed to be engrossed in dealing with the mountainous pile of documents on his desk. Was he really so engrossed? He didn't even finish reading a contract in 2 hours. His work efficiency these past 2 days was very worrisome. What was there to be used to? A habit was accumulated over time. If you wanted to get rid of a habit, you had to take great pains to do so. If you wanted to do it all in one go, you would suffer greatly. After an unknown amount of time, Ling Han threw the teacups on the table into the trash can along with the tea. His voice was somewhat dull. Tell Xiao Dong in the future that she only needs to prepare plain water. Xiao Mu nodded and didn't say anything to remind him. She only lowered her head and smiled helplessly. The person in the situation couldn't see clearly and didn't listen to advice. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.